Can you tell me a little bit about, you can have questions for me, but tell me a little bit about the setup. This is cool.
The setup we
You
have.
got Sony cameras. I don't know if we're allowed to
Yes.
talk about
Let's
brands
talk
and
about
stuff
it.
like that. Okay.
Let's talk about it. Welcome to the podcast. I'm Roy Wanguhu, and today I'm joined by Noah Stout, who's an amazing cinematographer, director, and we've known each other for a while now, for a long time, and we're in the same industry. But I wanted to explore Noah's journey, because we always talk about it every single day. And thank you, Noah, for joining me on this. I'll have you introduce yourself a little bit on at least people to know how you refer yourself and how, your anything that you want people to know about you.
Sure. Well, thank you for having me. So, yeah, we've known each other for, I don't know, maybe over a decade.
Yes.
And we have similar jobs that they differ slightly, but there's a huge amount of overlap. Some directing in there, a lot of DP in there, and then some equipment rental. That's a little supplementation to the whole thing. But I think that at the core of it all is creativity in the film world. And for me, I consider myself artistically a director and commercially a cinematographer. And then artistically, I think that just because of the nature of what I do, it's a bit jack of all trades. And then in a commercial setting, I would say 95% of the time these days it is a cinematographer, DP. You got a bunch of Sony cameras.
Yep.
We got 3 cameras on us.
FX30's FX3, right, on the setup. And then we have an outermost monitor over there. Just for viewing, at least you can be able to, see all the signals. And then DK switching right there. So we have the A10 Mini Pro.
Yeah,
Usually have the bigger one, but that's out on a stream. So it's being used for a different stream.
Do you guys do this kind of like a live setup, or do you edit it?
We do as edited setup, but we treat it like live. So like right now, we can switch. Like that's what he's playing with, is switching. But
so you would edit it if something really went wrong.
We would.
Yeah.
And with all honesty, right? And we can even start from there. It's like we're using AI Autopod.
Okay.
See, we put all the cameras in, and then just do a linear cut. It works its own thing.
Interesting. Oh, it just does the angles and
goes in Premiere.
That's not a bad use for AI.
It just cuts back and forth, and then you come back and just do your review of like, it's AI. So
yeah.
But the fact that it's actually picking, right now I'm the one talking, so it probably would switch to me. And then when you talk, it switches to you, so it picks the camera angles.
Oh, that's smart. That's a good use for AI. It's funny, I talked this morning, I was talking with a producer just about AI stuff in general and how we feel about it. Just like a casual meeting. There wasn't really a purpose to the meeting, but just to kind of talk about the industry and stuff like that. A little bit like this. And I wouldn't say she's passionate about AI, but, since AI it's the thing that everyone talks about now.
It is.
She's interested in it.
Mm-hmm.
And my interest in it is so limited.
Okay.
I'd say my interest in AI is a little bit like my interest in what bomb does the enemy have or something. It feels like I'm not opposed to it. Like, I don't think that people should be allowed to do it, but I'm scared of it, and I'm not passionate about it.
Okay.
I'm so passionate about real life filming that I think of it as the thing that's either going to replace me or I don't actually. I mean, that's a lot of what we talked about, like whether or not it can really replace us. I think it's going to change the way we do what we do, but
true.
I just don't feel that connected to it. Do you?
I think I love using technology. I love adopting new technology and learning. That's the curiosity part of things, right? And also finding the spaces that I can actually be able to use it as a tool. But also yes, there's limited use cases with it of how well like can I be able to put it, and it doesn't fit in every box. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
But a lot of buzz coming in is, hey, it's coming and it's gonna take all the jobs. It's gonna be doing what we do, but I don't think that's gonna happen. And looking at it from the point of view of documentaries, which you do a lot,
Mm-hmm.
you do a lot of sports. There's actual perspectives that you have to be there. You have to feel the moment to
Right.
actually be able to capture.
Right.
You have to draw people in, and I think that's a skill, that's talent, and also that's a craft. Like you can't be able to imitate.
Right.
Right? You can create an idea of it, but to translate that, I think it's still not gonna be taken away by anyone. But
Yeah,
as a
yeah.
tool, I think I am enjoying it. Just exploring it.
And it's kind of mind-blowing.
It is. Like, there are things that a year ago probably I wouldn't have been able to do.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Oh, for sure.
And this is on a playful part, right? Like right now, we use with the boys. I have two boys, and some days in the evening they'll come in and want to talk to my phone, right?
Uh-huh.
So I have
Is it like Chat GPT or
I
something?
have it fed on the setting on the phone, and they will ask questions, right? So, and it's actually very interesting questions that sometimes I'm like, okay, I need to research to kind of frame it to your perspective of answer, but I've curated it that it knows, okay, it's a 6-year-old perspective of these answers, right? Or I'll give it context. I'm like, respond this as 6-year-old. I'm teaching a 6-year-old, or the person asking is a 6-year-old. So it will kind of like tone it down and kind of engage.
I would set it for 6 years old for me.
And
For most
some of those
things.
answers I actually understand more when it
Yeah.
explains it for that level. But, my oldest right now is into dinosaurs, right?
Oh, yeah.
So everything is dinosaur, right? So we've been actually making dinosaurs on ChatGPT.
Making like new dinosaurs?
Images, yeah.
Oh,
We'll generate
interesting.
images.
Do
through
you
that.
know? This is a fact about dinosaurs.
Tell me.
Let me see if I can get it right. We are closer in time, in history, to the Tyrannosaurus Rex than the Tyrannosaurus Rex is to the Stegosaurus.
What?
In your mind, you think probably in part because of children's movies and whatever,
Yeah.
just the perspective, the way it works with history.
Uh-huh.
You would just picture them walking the earth together.
Okay.
But they are separated by millions of years, even further apart from each other than humans. And I have another similar fact. Sorry, we're going off on an animal
This
thing.
is good.
Okay, this is what we're doing.
Because I have a question about all this.
Well, yeah, because you got to tell your son that. That's mind-blowing.
Hey.
And I was researching about crocodiles and alligators.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
They're not that closely related. You would think that they are almost the same species,
Yes.
right? They are separated in evolution by 10 million years. They went on different tracks. They are significantly less related to each other than we are to chimps.
Okay.
They are more like so we are 98 point something percent the same as chimps, bonobo monkeys, or bonobo apes.
Yeah.
And then, macaques, they're like kind of monkey.
Yes.
That's how related they are, 93%.
Okay.
So it sounds like a lot, 93%, but I think we have something like 50% the same DNA as a banana. Like there's a certain amount of DNA that's just in common if you're on Earth.
Yes.
And then you can look at things in terms of percent of DNA, and you can also look at things in terms of when we split, when our evolution split.
Okay.
And crocodiles and alligators, we think of them together. You can't even tell the difference when you look at them.
Exactly. So how are they different?
It's just it's a good form to be for an animal like that, that killing machine that is very similar to that.
Okay. So that's very interesting on the genetic line. So I have this understanding and I have this question about dinosaurs.
Okay.
Because by perspective, I don't think they were real.
You don't think they were real?
I don't
Okay,
think so.
interesting. I've never
'Cause
met one of you.
I think it's I don't know. Maybe they were there in uh, history books, all that. But I feel like living in the U.S., I learned more about dinosaurs than I did growing up in Africa.
Mm-hmm. Interesting.
You know, uh, like there's from the movies to everything, and we seem to be finding them. I think I just read was it today they found, I think it was dinosaur remains underneath a museum's parking lot. I will find that article.
Oh, okay.
That
Well,
was actually
here's a question. It's funny. There's certain things, even though we've known each other for a decade, certain things we don't know about each other. Are you a religious man?
I grew up
That
religious.
might
Yeah.
be part of it. I think a number of people who are religious don't believe in dinosaurs.
Okay.
Is that right? Because it's somewhat in conflict with Genesis. The idea of dinosaurs historically
That'll be interesting.
not making sense with the story
With the
of
story
the
of the
beginning
Bible
of
and
humans and yeah.
Probably for most, but probably not for me because I lived questioning that.
Okay.
You know what I mean? I had a lot of questions on the Bible. You know what I mean? Because
Yeah.
and that's a whole other topic. It's like this chapter says this, and the other one is like, okay, I believe in a higher being. I believe there's and I think it helps ground you when you know there's something higher than you.
Sure.
But the idea of like just the stories and everything, I think you have to understand it to take your you understand what you read and you make your decisions based off of it, based off of what you think is right.
Mm-hmm.
Right and wrong as an individual, not based off of someone told me to do this.
Sure.
Because at some point it becomes misleading. You know what I mean? You're following this book or this idea blindly without questioning I don't think it's right. I feel like
You need to
understanding it as
participate.
well, participate.
Yeah.
Because yes, it's been written. Same thing as a textbook, right? Or even same thing as what we do as filmmakers. You'll understand something, and then from that context that you get, you actually make the decision and know you made a decision. Hopefully, that is right.
Right.
So, but yeah, for that, I know we had Richard Leakey, who used to find a lot of this remains over there. He was one of the biggest. I think he's an archaeologist. I think
You mean in Kenya?
In Kenya.
Yeah, because Kenya is the epicenter of a lot of archaeology.
Exactly.
In fact, I grew up with, my brother's best friend is the son of one of the most famous archaeologists in the world and worked out of Kenya.
Yeah.
So he was there all the time.
Richard Leakey, who was finding things, But yeah, I think the question for the dinosaurs, and I feel like also the culture has gone. Right now, there's so many. Every day I'm reading a dinosaur book.
Oh, cool! Like
So
a kid's one, or like for
my
adults?
My son reads dinosaur books every single day, so I have a lot of information on dinosaurs, but I can't pronounce half of the names. They're so complicated.
Yeah.
But it's interesting. And one of the books says they actually made in a lab. So.
Oh, okay.
So,
well,
what's your thought on all this? Because you're very informed on the dinosaurs.
Whether I think that I believe that dinosaurs were real, but I also think that nobody really knows much of anything 100%. But I feel quite confident in myself believing in them.
Okay.
But you can get pretty existential going down that rabbit hole.
I'd like to hear that because are you tracing this that the beginning, or what do you think of where we are as humans? Do you believe like there was other beings before we came?
I do.
And what is your thought process on that?
I think we're part of a continuum.
Okay.
A part of a continuum of evolution, that even our parents are ever so slightly one step before us in a differentiating continuum. So I believe in evolution and Darwin, that there's periods in history where we had common ancestors that split off, and it has to do with, natural selection and I guess that's the basics of it.
Yeah.
That's what I believe.
Yeah.
But I wouldn't say 100% that I believe in knowing things.
Yes.
I think that there's arguably a very limited number of things that we can feel like we know potentially, that something exists. That basic, something like I think, therefore I am.
Yes.
That something is existing. But I feel 99.9% certain in a lot of things, but I
Okay.
don't feel 100% certain in things. I think that I didn't grow up religiously, but
Okay.
my father is a religion professor. So he is retired
Okay.
now, but he's a well-known religion professor from Princeton University. And he was also not religious, though he did grow up Christian and then became secular, but his whole career has basically been about studying how you can be a good ethical person in a secular world and not necessarily being religious, though he's very religious friendly,
Okay.
which a lot of atheists are not.
Yeah.
There's
that's
often
true.
like, oh, are you a believer or are you not? And then there's a lot of gray area. I think when you talk to anyone who is either, that you find out there's more in common than anyone thinks
That's
between all
true.
of the religions and
Yeah.
also between people who are religious and not religious. Like
Yeah.
if you talk about it like a higher power,
Yes.
I think that there are ways in a non-religious way to think of a higher power. And a lot of people in their way think of God as nature and a oneness. So people who believe in God as kind of the ultimate being that is the creator,
Yeah.
there is a similar way to look at nature in general that way.
Okay.
And that also what you were saying a few minutes ago about just in sort of a pragmatic approach to life,
Yeah.
having a framework with a higher power that you recognize can be a really good way to live a happy life with purpose. I think that's also one of the reasons why is that one of the rules in the 12 step? Like when people are addicted to alcohol or drugs,
That is
that's
true.
one
That
of
is
the
actually
things
one
that
of the
they have you recognize, that there is a higher power. And they don't say anymore. They used to say it in a Christian framework that there's a God, but I think they switched it to be more all-encompassing, that there's a higher power.
Yeah.
I think that's possible, that to be a happy person, you have to have some sort of recognition of a higher power and being humbled by it.
That's true. I think
That's-
it's because it also helps you exist with others in
Yeah.
a way. You know what I mean? It's like it's not always about you, and also there's the level of I think it's a psychological thing to some point, right? When you hear about this with religion, right? Is, oh yeah, I'm leaving this up to God or something, right? But with that also goes to the point of put in your work, right? It's the work that actually is gonna matter. If you sat and waited for the higher being to come and rescue you and do whatever that you want to be done, and you're consistently just praying and waiting for that, that's not gonna happen unless something different. But if you put in the time and you put in the work and the effort into it, right, it's just the tipping of the scale, right? Like you're already halfway there, right?
Right.
So, but yes, you're believing that there is more power that is guiding me, but you're also putting in the effort. I think that's where that becomes a success, and that's what I always look at. It's put in the work, put in the effort, and then that higher being. If you're stuck somewhere, but it's also that chemistry of life, right?
Right.
It's
Right.
the random. I'm in this situation. I meet Noah. Noah is like, I have an answer to this. You know what I mean? Like that's that level of like, okay, you are putting it out there, and some good will come out of it.
I think there's also a lot of scientific psychological
Mm-hmm.
study and evidence about the idea of the self.
Mm-hmm.
And I think across different religions and across different psychological studies, they find that the less you think about yourself,
Mm.
the happier you are and the more meaning you find in life. So I think there's lots of different ways, whether
It's true.
that's being dedicated to someone else in a relationship, whether
Yeah.
that's having children, whether that's thinking about God first, whether that's thinking about your art or your work first,
Yeah.
getting your mind off of yourself. I think that's something that Christianity, Judaism, Buddhism
True.
all have in
Oh,
common.
yeah.
I think that there's something about it's not about you. It's
Mm-hmm.
about loving others.
That's true. It's the village,
Mm-hmm.
the village mindset, right? It takes a village. It's like, you exist with others, and how well that connection and that existence is, the more successful that you are. You know what I mean? Because now you're depending on each other, as a community, a village, and all that. Like, you're able to all grow together. But for us to do that is, I can't contain myself in one room, right? I have to be open for others to come in, and becomes the same way for you, right? If I'm coming over to you, we have this exchange, we have this growth that we're all heading somewhere.
Right.
Like, I think they say you can't,
Being a
a lot
part
of
of a bigger.
a bigger part of everything, right? Like, the idea of, I built this by myself, does not really exist.
Right,
You know.
right. That's an illusion that we believe all the time. That
Right.
even when you're doing something like an artist that works alone, you're working with others, actually. Even
Yeah.
if you're a painter, someone's making the paint, someone's making the brush.
Yeah.
You're experiencing other people in your life that move you in a way to be able to
Exactly.
make the painting.
The inspiration,
All
you
those
saw
things.
something somewhere,
Yeah.
somewhere, and that led to, which I'm gonna ask you on that level is, the conversation that comes up a lot is parallel universes. Do you believe in that?
Oh, like in like a string theory sort of way.
Uh-huh.
I feel like it's so outside of my experience
Mhm.
that I have pretty much no idea.
Mm.
I a number of years ago I read, those For Dummies books,
Okay.
like something for dummies,
Okay.
like cameras for dummies
Yeah.
or whatever.
Yeah.
I read String Theory for Dummies.
Okay.
And I'm too dumb for that book. Like, I couldn't even get that into it. And it was supposed to be for people who don't know anything about it. I got a little bit out of it.
Okay.
That I understood more about what, like quantum physics is and how string theory actually comes into being and the problems it's trying to solve.
Okay.
And how, and you forgive me if this is not even accurate, but it has something to do with to make sense of other things that we feel like we know.
Mm-hmm.
That is one of the explanations that helps make it make sense.
I understood. Okay.
So there's certain things
Is that like
in
deja vu or any of this?
I don't even mean deja vu. I mean things like, and I'm going way out of my expertise here, but there's things like, okay, we understand that there's a thing that is like gravity, that
Yes.
gravity exists, that
Yes.
we're not floating right now,
Mhm.
right?
Mhm.
And there's the ways to study really, 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 really small physics
Mhm.
and really, really, really big physics. The universe versus quarks and stuff like that.
Got it.
The mathematics that describe them when people write on the chalkboard in a movie and you're like, I guess you're a genius. I don't know what that means, but
Yeah.
it's a really long, complicated formula that's supposed to explain the universe.
Yeah.
They have these mathematical things that can predict things like what is gravity and all these things that Einstein was predicting that ended up being true. Those things are figured out mathematically.
Yes.
And that's my basic understanding of it.
Yes.
And there's certain holes in all of that. Like
Okay.
really, really big physics and really, really small physics don't make sense in the same mathematical formulations. They're like not quite fitting together. Like the puzzle pieces don't fit. And they're trying to explain that, I think, is the big question in physics right now. So then they come up with things like there has to be black holes.
Got it.
And there has to be wormholes. Like things have to be able to do this, or our math is not making sense. So that's how
Okay,
they
so it's an
that's how they start
explanation.
coming up with things, I
Okay.
believe. And that is my understanding of string theory as being a theory, that there are multiple, anywhere from 2 to an infinite number of dimensions going on. And I have no idea. I feel like it's just so far beyond our experience in this dimension
Yeah.
that I don't know.
And as you said, it's a cycle, right? One part, and then the next one is going to take over this earth
Yeah.
after we leave.
Yeah. Or they're all happening within us right now, like in between. Well, most of this is space, right?
True.
There's like
Yeah.
protons and electrons and all the space between. And the idea that there could be things kind of happening in between and different. You know how there's radio, like you can't see radio, but there's radio channels you can tune into, and that we're on a certain frequency in some way. That's one thing that I've heard. Like, we're on 97.5, but then there's a 97.6 that's different from this. I don't know. But it all sounds...
That's pretty good. That's pretty good.
But this
I've not
ties
had
in-
that theory, though.
This ties into the religious stuff, though. Like, as someone who didn't grow up religious...
So how... Your dad was a professor of religion,
Yeah.
but you didn't grow up Christian.
No,
Like,
and
the
he
whole
wasn't
household was
a
not-
professor of a specific religion. He studied religion as a thing.
As a thing.
This is it
And none of them sparked any interest to be like, I need you kids, and,
I'm personally mostly interested in Buddhism, but we celebrated Christmas and stuff like that. So we grew up culturally Christian, but not religiously Christian.
Got it.
And part of what it's misleading to think of him as a religion professor, because what he's mostly studying, especially now, is things like democracy.
Okay.
And organizing within democracy and how to make positive change to keep people from dominating each other in different ways.
Okay.
So that can be done in a religious department, and I think a lot of that was inherited from just the way those departments and universities were run decades ago.
Yeah.
Whereas a lot of what would be considered philosophy and politics was all intertwined with like theology decades ago. So it's in that department in ways that are surprising to us, and thinking about it in 2025, that it would be about being like studying the details of the Bible or something. There are people who do that, but that's not his field within religion.
Okay.
But what was I going to say about religion versus all the physics and things? I feel like often religious people will think their way is right, and then people who are scientific approach will think their way is right. When then you really get into all of them, none of them is really easier or more difficult to believe than the other, to me. They are all mind-blowing.
Yeah.
So the idea that a God created it, or that the Big Bang created time and space out of nothing, that's not, I don't find that easy to believe either.
That's true. Yeah.
And they could not necessarily have to be mutually exclusive, but
it's, and I think that's one of the biggest wars or the biggest causes of why we fight all the time, right? You're right, I'm wrong.
Yeah.
My religion is better than yours, or
and it all seems to be counterproductive and against the religions themselves, what the religions are supposed to
That's
be
it. That's
about.
the other part, right?
Yeah.
It's
Aren't
like
we trying to love and understand? Isn't that what
that,
we're
that
supposed to
doesn't
do
apply
here?
when it's you on
And
the other side.
and not kill each other?
No.
Isn't that in most of them? Aren't we supposed to not do that?
All of them have that rule,
Yeah.
but it seems like that's the one. They're like,
Yeah.
hey, put that one down
It's
first.
such a mess. Yeah,
But
it's such a mess.
It's an interesting perspective. Like, you grew up in the East Coast.
I did.
Where in the East Coast?
So Princeton, where the university is in
Yeah.
New Jersey, and it's an hour from New York and an hour from Philadelphia. It's halfway about between the two of them.
Hmm.
So I also lived in Philadelphia for a year, and then I lived in New York for 5 years later.
Yeah.
But New York is generally our city.
Okay.
We're not exactly a suburb of New York because
Okay.
Princeton's its own thing with the university, but
Yeah.
that's what we look to as our city. I'm a Knicks fan,
Okay.
kind of a new Knicks fan. I grew up with the Knicks.
Yeah.
My dad was always obsessed with the Knicks, and later my mom got into the Knicks kind of when I was out of the house, to my surprise. And then I was never into basketball. It wasn't my sport.
Okay.
But a year ago,
Yeah.
in part to kind of just bond with my dad, because we live across the country,
Yes.
I was trying to get into a sport. And I was like, well, my favorite sport to watch besides MMA, we can get into
We
MMA.
can get into
'cause
that.
I have a whole history with MMA. My favorite sport to watch is basketball. I think it's especially for television.
Yes.
I think it's the best televised sport. I grew
Okay.
up playing soccer,
Okay.
seriously. And my father is really into soccer too.
Okay.
I played every day essentially from the age of 4 to 19.
Okay.
And I got so burnt out and tired of it. I was like, I want to get into a team sport again.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I was like, the Warriors or the Knicks? Which one am I going to get into? And, people from here are like, well, do you want to be part of a winning team or a losing team?
That's exactly the bay.
And, well, I was like, kind of a winning team, but I picked the Knicks because of my dad.
Yeah.
And the Knicks are doing better than the Warriors now. So it kind of is working out.
Okay.
So I've been able to root pretty hard for the Knicks.
You
And
rooted right.
the Warriors are great. I'd love to be able to go to a bar or a restaurant and actually have my team's game on. So they're not going to play Knicks games unless the Knicks are playing the Warriors. But that would be the only advantage.
That'd be a good one. If they do that, we should go hang out.
Yeah, I'd be down. Are you a Warriors fan?
Yeah, I'm the
Little
Bay.
bit.
Yeah, I'm in
Yeah.
the Bay. I'm not committed to any. Like, I'm in the Bay, so the Warriors.
Yeah.
But can I say I'm like, yeah, hardcore? No.
Did you grow up
I'm a
playing
social
soccer?
watcher. Yeah,
You played soccer growing up?
played soccer.
Yeah.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
I'm a social watcher on sports, basketball, and all that. So.
Did you watch the U.S. versus Guatemala on Sunday?
No, I did not. I was out camping.
Oh, that's
I
even
was out
better.
camping. Yeah,
Camping
so we
is
came back on
More
Sunday.
important. Yeah.
But yeah, I think the Chelsea's playing on Saturday or Sunday or something.
You're a Chelsea guy?
No, my cousin is.
Oh, okay.
So I mean, all Kenyan groups, soccer happens to be part of the conversation. It doesn't matter.
100%.
It's like anything. It's like
do you have a
my team
team?
is playing. I don't have a team.
Okay.
I stay neutral on that. I've seen what it causes. There's a lot
Yeah.
of drifts based off of that. A lot
Yeah,
of people
yeah,
break
yeah.
up as friends just because of the teams. But you
Does
know-
Kenya have a good team?
um,
I mean, most the
It's-
best Kenyan athletes end up runners, probably, right?
That's our sport.
Yeah.
Honestly,
The
we'll
best
play
runners in the world.
Rugby, we're good. We're good at rugby. We do rugby sevens. Soccer, I'm sure there's talent, but we've not really
Yeah,
crossed.
yeah.
you know.
Do you
And
guys
we
make it
do
into the
have,
World Cup?
I don't think so.
I don't think so
I don't
either.
think so. I don't think so. But we do have good Kenyan players who actually play in the league in Europe.
Yeah, yeah.
So, but as a team, I think Nigeria or these other countries have better teams.
Yeah, Cameroon was really good for a while. I don't know
I
if
love
they're...
watching Cameroon.
Are they still good? They're good again, I think.
Yeah, it takes and I think everything goes to team support and how well the country supports their players.
Right.
And if that sport is one that they see success in,
Mm-hmm.
so running, rugby, that's 100% you'll see that coming from
Yeah,
Kenya.
yeah.
But soccer, there's potential. There's but we'll see. It's coming up,
Yeah.
right?
The World
The
Cup.
World Cup.
Yeah, it's next summer.
Are you excited?
I am because it's here.
Yeah.
I don't really follow soccer anymore except for the World Cup.
I like the social aspect of it.
I like the social
You know,
aspect.
like
I've been so I watched the U.S. versus Guatemala game
Okay, yeah.
because my sister-in-law
Mhm.
is into it,
Okay.
and they were just visiting. They live in Kentucky,
Okay.
and we've started bonding more because we've hung out more now,
Yes. Yes. Yes.
and we've been betting $1 at a time
Okay.
on sports games.
All sports or just soccer and basketball?
Soccer is what is around right now because
Yeah,
basketball's
It's
over.
over. Yeah.
I'm gonna try to get her into the MMA, into UFC stuff.
Okay.
I'll see if I can get her to watch it. It's a little harder to get people to watch that because not everyone likes it,
Yep.
but also you have to usually pay to watch it
Yeah.
unless
A
you
lot
have a
of those are
workaround.
pay-per-view. Yeah.
Yeah, I
Um,
get it. And yeah, I get around paying for it. Put it that
that's-
way.
And let's go there because you worked on MMA for how many years? For the longest, I think
I think like 8 years I
years.
worked with the UFC, something like that. I don't have a great map of time in my head on things in general. I'm always surprised by how many years ago something was, but even trying to come up with which year it was. But whenever
How did you
I
get
worked
into
with,
it?
okay, so I was filming at some lame event in San Francisco. You know how, okay, when you're a filmmaker, unless you're some big shot, you're generally working on a mix of things that you think are cool,
Yes.
and then some things that just pay the bills.
Yes.
This was a bill paying thing, and it
Okay.
wasn't even paying that many bills.
Okay.
It was just some event. I was doing this is probably in 2012 or something like that.
Okay.
I could actually find out, but I'm not going to look it up on my phone while we're on a podcast. I got called while I was working at this lame event,
Okay.
just doing what I would call videography.
Okay.
Not to talk down on anyone who does videography, but I'm
No,
interested in things that are more like cinematography, if that
Okay.
makes sense, and we could
Yes.
talk about it. And I get a call from Showtime, a guy at Showtime, and
Okay.
he said, "Do you want to come film Floyd Mayweather tomorrow, or in 2 days, or something like that, in Vegas, and at his gym?" And I was like, "Hell yeah!" And especially in comparison to what I was doing at the moment, I
Yeah.
was like, "Of course I do."
Of course, please get me out of here.
Yeah, and I'm glad we're getting into talking about film now instead of just philosophy, because this was some good pointers for people who are in film. I got called, he said, because my website worked. He said he got a number of names
Okay.
and he went to my website
Okay.
and it worked.
That was it.
That was the initial little connection. So one piece of advice I'd give to anyone starting out, well, one, get a website,
Yeah.
make it professional looking, use
Yeah.
Squarespace, whatever you got to do,
Yeah.
some template to kind of get you there.
Yeah.
And then these simple things need to work. You need to have a way to contact you. That
Yes.
link needs to work to your email or to
Yes.
your phone number.
Yes.
That's kind of number one.
That's true. That's true.
That's
It's the basics.
It's equally as important as having an impressive reel. You need to work on that too, but your stuff needs to work. Another piece of advice I'll just sneak in here now, but
This
until
is
we go into
perfect.
the UFC
No,
question.
No, this is perfect.
There's so many soft skills that you are in control of that you can do
Okay.
that will get you further and further and further in the industry, like never being late.
Yeah.
Especially when you're starting out and you don't know these people well yet. You don't have any excuses.
That
I
is
don't
true.
care if there's an accident on
That is true.
the thing. You have to show up early enough so that if there was an accident, you were still there on time. If they closed the road and you had to take a detour, you were still there 10 minutes early.
Yep.
So I tell anyone who's working for me as an up and coming AC or PA that I train, 15 minutes early is on time. That's kind of like a minimum for you. Yeah, you show up early, get in the neighborhood and go get some coffee. Or sit in your car and meditate and get ready for the day, or go on your phone and use Instagram and do all the stuff that you're going to do on your phone all day anyway.
But you're there.
Yeah, you're there early. Number one. Another one, thank the people who brought you onto that shoot.
Yes.
When the shoot's done.
Yes.
It's really easy. Be polite. Just thank the people.
That's true. That is true.
They're going to feel good about you. Yeah.
They will remember.
They'll remember.
Yeah.
And a lot of the time it's a subconscious thing, but you want to be the person who is willing to do anything, within reason, not to get abused on set, but you have a positive attitude the whole day. You're not on your phone the whole day.
Yeah.
You're paying attention to what your job is.
Yeah.
You're looking at it to do stuff. That's how you're going to learn too.
That's true.
So you're ready to help out whoever wants it. You're not paying. This is a little different from history. You can tell me your opinion on it too, but like departments were their departments back in the day. Not anymore.
No.
Now, anyone who's on set, their goal is to make this shoot go really well.
It's a hybrid.
So help out whoever. I mean, I'm not saying go and touch the gaffer's lights without their permission, but you can ask the gaffer what they need help with if you are kind of like a AC swing and you're on a shoot that has 5 people on it. You can help anyone out, and you can learn a lot about. If you're an AC, you should be learning about lighting too if you're on set. But obviously that's a little bit different. If you've specialized, and if you're on a commercial with a lot of people on it and you're hired to be a first AC, you're not going to be doing any of that stuff. But if you're 22 years old and you're on a documentary, you're there to do whatever and ever can be helpful for the shoot.
That's true.
So use it as an opportunity to learn. Use it as an opportunity to pick up things, but also like people will love you.
That's true.
And bring you on again.
I think the idea of getting into the industry or being like, hey, I want this opportunity, the idea is just not being a one body. Just because you showed up, that's not it. You can easily, like your next job, what you do here, let's say the gaffer will see, or someone else will actually see your initiative, right? Yes, the producer, or you came in as a PA or whatever. But if your end is being a PA, that's good. But if you want to grow in that industry, show more initiative, right? It's like, hey, how can I help? Oh, I have a few, I gotta have a free hand. Can I help with that? Or what is that? I have not found filmmakers who are not willing to answer questions.
Right.
You know what I mean? It's like, if it's the right time.
Right. It has to be the right time.
In a moment of crisis, and that's the time you're trying to ask questions, that's the wrong time.
And there's lots of those moments of crisis.
Exactly.
All day.
Hey, all day.
Yeah.
But it's like finding of like, okay, this is set up. They're running cable or something. Yeah, you were sent coffee, you came back, and now you have, instead of getting on your phone, you can also, hey, can I help organize this?
Here's another thing.
Registers,
If you're working all the time, great. It's already going well for you. If you're not working all the time, you have time to be doing things.
Yes.
Like asking someone if you can come over to their studio and they can show you how to use a camera when you both have some downtime.
Yeah.
I love doing that. Not only is it just a way to pass on to, whether it's the next generation or whoever, pass on to people who need to know that, or I'm also building my stable of people who I can call on who know what they're doing. So I'm happy to have people over. Come have a coffee.
Yeah.
Come go over an Alexa, and now you know how to use an Alexa.
That's
now
true.
If you didn't have access to an Alexa at college, now you're PAing and you're asking someone. Now you have experience on that thing. If you want to be a DP, that's going to matter.
Exactly.
If you're not going to be a DP, I mean, it's going to matter for a lot of things. If you're a sound person, if you want to be a sound person, but you're PAing now, and you have access to get coffee at a camera person's house who owns the camera, you now have access to sound menus.
And that's the biggest question, right? Oh, I can't get access to all these cameras. But also, I think with our industry, you have to be curious.
Definitely.
You have to be.
I think,
You have
curiosity is one of the most
curiosity is one of
important
the
things
most
in
important
life,
things,
really.
right? It's like if, oh yeah, I'll see it when I get there. It's, how many times have you been called and you're like, hey, we want to use this camera, and you're like, I haven't used it now. I need to go do deep research,
Right.
and which is that point of like you can always call and be like, hey, can I come and test, or can you give me a walkthrough of this camera? You know what I
Right.
mean? Because again, people are willing to share.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. And if they're not, big deal. You
Find-
asked them and they said no, and then
Find
you know what
someone who
kind of
will show
person
you.
that person is. So,
Exactly.
okay.
Exactly. You can't hold anyone back. Everyone has their own path.
Totally. Yeah. That's a good way of looking at it, too. There's a million or there's 8 billion paths to take. Yours is going to be different from everybody else.
Like, what other lines exist? Because this is our main kind of world, right? Like, our circles are built around this filmmaking kind of world, right? But to that, there's also these parallels that help us stay here.
Yeah.
And approaching those, right? Like, what is your mindset? Because your mindset is heavy, right? It's like working every day or working in a month, and then the next month is a little bit more slow.
Right.
How are you feeling, those times, or how's your, how do you keep yourself sane? And you and I have had these conversations,
Yeah.
we
Especially
always,
the last year or two.
Exactly.
It's all been different in the last 2 years. So we're all going through it.
Exactly.
Or most of us are.
The beauty is like you and I always check in. We're like, hey, let's have coffee. Let's meet up. Let's, just hang out and talk.
Well, here's one thing. Everyone who works in the industry is not these people are not your competition. Even though they are in a way, like, we could bid on the same job.
Yeah.
But spiritually, that's not your approach if you want to make it anywhere.
That is true.
These are your friends. Because say we bid on the same job. Say it's a big job and we both want it.
Yeah.
It's $100,000, $200,000. And you get it and I don't get it. And I'm like, damn, that was like the entire year. Just like went down the drain.
Yeah, yeah.
And now I'm like, I act like a jerk because I'm jealous. Hate Roy now. He got that job. And then now I'm not a part of the game. Now, like, when, like, you were thinking, oh, maybe Noah, I could hire him as a DP for this shoot. Or
the same shoot.
Or maybe this other job that you had that you can't do because you're busy with this more expensive one, you would have recommended me for that. Or anything. No, it's like these people are if they can be your friends, they should be.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And, like, we've been on jobs together.
Yeah.
And we've worked together in terms of like the set. It's like, hey, come in. And I feel like, and that's the other thought, it's like having people you can rely on, or people that you're like, okay, I am comfortable to say, Noah will do that.
Right.
And you've done it where you're like, okay, Roy, this is job, this is what we're looking at. I'm gonna give your name to them. Let's, and this is what they need.
And they've got it. Yes.
But knowing the back of your mind, it's like, okay, I've handed this off, but I'm also comfortable saying that this job will be safe.
Yeah.
Because at the end of the day, and that's the other crazy side of all this, is the minute that you recommend someone, you're responsible for them, even though you're not.
Right. I think I've lost a client. I'm not going to go into the details on it, but I think I've lost a client before because, and it wasn't the person's fault who I recommended, but there was a little bit of weirdness between them and the people. So I'll give you the gist of it.
Okay.
It was a sound person that I recommended. He's a really good sound person.
Yeah.
The client was a very slow paying client, and he was having trouble getting paid by them.
Okay.
And his emails to them started getting
aggressive,
more and more angry.
Okay.
Which to me is understandable. But they spoke to me about it, that he did a good job on the thing, but and my reaction was, well, pay the guy.
Pay the guy.
So I wasn't sad to see that client go, but I didn't hear from them after that. And I believe it was probably to a degree because it was just a sour taste in their mouth. So I felt a little bit like, hey, if I recommend you to a job, I would appreciate just keeping it chill.
Yeah.
But at the same time, I was like, I'm on your side, man.
Like,
Like, you
get
deserve to
paid.
get paid.
Yeah,
That's
that's true.
that's another. We'll go into the UFC stuff, but that's a whole other thing we can talk about.
But
The
that's the
idea
crazy
of
part.
getting paid, because there's some warnings out there for people who haven't been through it. I've lost. You've lost. We both lost money,
of money,
not because the
yeah.
work wasn't good. It was just because the way the system works in I don't know if it's like this everywhere, but American capitalism and the legal system, you can just get away with stuff a lot more if you just decide to be like that. If you're a client and you just don't want to pay someone, you can just. So I had one. It's only happened to me once.
Okay.
And this client, by the time this production happened, they were already having trouble that I didn't know about. But then they went bankrupt.
Okay.
And they didn't pay any of the people that they owed. And then there's nobody to sue.
Yeah. It's all
And
gone.
also, I talked to a lawyer friend. He said, you're going to have to get used to the idea that you're not going to get that money back. And I was not happy with that.
Start
'cause
working your way through it.
I paid an AC out of my share.
Oh.
So I lost money on the thing. Not the biggest deal at the end of the day if I miss out on. I'll tell you about how much. It was about $15,000. So in this, it's like it burns when it
does.
happens. But for your whole career, if that happens once, not a big deal. If it happens to you 10 times a year, you have a big problem.
A big problem. What safeguards have you put in place? Based off of that?
Part of it is still just reliant on trust because I just believe in it.
Yeah.
I believe in trusting people, and I believe in working with people that it's a little bit more like a mom and pop business. That's what I do. But I'm more careful, and I'll even tell people who are new clients about the experience that I had. And I'm like, we need to do I've had a couple other weird things happen that ended up turning out okay. I've let people out of contracts before because, money can change instantly within a company, or they don't want to spend money even though they promised to on a contract and stuff like that. But to keep that client, well, you can either put up a fight or you can keep the client, and then they'll come back to you.
They'll come back to you, yeah. It's relationships, right?
But I try to have things that function as okay. The way I work business wise, so I'll run entire productions through my production company, or I work as a DP for other people who are running productions.
Yes.
When I'm working as a DP as a day rate, I also get my film equipment rented in that scenario. So we work in a similar sort of way. You're more of like a real rental house than I am, but we have a lot of overlap. And when I do those, it's handshake and an email handshake, and then you have 30 days to pay me. I invoice you; it's net 30.
Yeah.
If you need it to be net 60, we can arrange that. And I say that just has to be arranged beforehand. We can't just do. I had one client who was just trying to say it was just going to take 60 days from the time they got paid by their client, and they didn't know when that would be. Actually, you were on that shoot with me.
I remember
so you know about
we had
this.
these conversations.
That's a scary thing to get into because I'm like, now if I'm paying other people, like I was subcontract, they wanted me to handle everything. So I was paying you and I was paying 8 people maybe.
Yeah.
So it's a lot of money out of my pocket. So for something like that, if I'm paying other people, 50% up front. And that's a rule.
Yeah. No, it makes sense.
I'm not doing anything out of my pocket 100
you'd be hang
completely.
dry, at least half.
Yeah. So if I don't get paid the second half because you go bankrupt, I'm not under that bad. Or, at least I'm covering ideally everyone that I'm paying.
Exactly.
So I'll do that, and then if it's a production that I'm running, it's a real contract that is laying everything out, and they're signing it, and they could still that's what drives me nuts. They could still just not pay it, and then this is the way. I don't want to get too political in this conversation, but this is the history of Trump. The way Trump did business with people was just not paying them. And then what are you going to do? Sue the richer person because they're going to run you into the ground in
Exactly. You're
court.
like, it's gonna cost you a lawyer and everything,
Yeah.
and all the costs.
You
still
can't fight
coming.
it. So it's a loophole where if you're willing to be an asshole, like our president, then you can screw people over.
That's true.
So
true.
to a degree, our society is based on a certain amount of trust and understanding that people will be a good person and also being held accountable and reputation.
Yes.
So you're trying to work with people who have a bit of a reputation. You're trying to work with people who are just not like that and people who have a company that seems to be functioning.
That's true. And you know, it goes back to what we were talking about in terms of like the community or the knowing each other and having these conversations. You know what I mean? Because even for us now with the rentals, other than the conversations you and I have on the side of, hey, what's the rates that are going right now? You know, it usually takes a check-in for that. But even on the rentals, it's you have to know someone in this industry. You know what I mean? So we ask for like three references. Right. But it's based off of the idea, and I know the other rental houses, VideoFax, Shader do the same thing, is the idea of for you to be doing or renting this tool that you're going to use in this area, you must have met other filmmakers.
Yeah.
You're not an island, you know?
Right.
And that's all that you're checking. It's like, hey, okay, put in 3 people. I know Noah. I know this other person. We'll double check with them. You know what I mean? Because that they should be able to kind of vouch for you.
And in San Francisco, we're going to know people you know.
Exactly.
If I don't know anyone that you know, I mean, you could be straight out of college and maybe we don't know people in common, but you've at least done some stuff.
Yeah, done something.
If you're renting from us.
Yeah. It's like you're going to a higher end market in terms of like camera.
Yeah, if you're renting an Alexa and you don't have anything to show that you've ever done, that's weird.
And that's weird.
Yeah,
then I think I should question that camera. And I know ShareGrid went through that a little bit at the beginning.
Yeah, I was going to ask you about ShareGrid because how do you feel about ShareGrid as a thing? Is it helpful for you, or do you think it's a hindrance to business?
Honestly, I think it's just another promotional avenue.
Uh-huh.
You know what I mean?
Whenever I look up something on there, I see your stuff.
We still put on there, but I remember at the beginning, and we had that conversation with ShareGrid, is we still have to ask for the same things we ask for. You know, you've done your verification check. We still have to do ours.
Right.
And that was at the beginning when they were very loose because they wanted more people to use this service. I'm like, I still have to double check because you'd hear a lot of people. It's like, oh yeah, my camera was taken to sand by the beach and they've just dumped it in front of me. You know, like you'd hear a lot of those stories.
That happened to me. Well, it's not sand. It was it was Burning Man. It's Burning Man
I've
dust.
heard about these stories. Yours went to Burning Man.
Mine went to Burning Man. Yeah. I also had a set of lenses get stolen, but that worked out great for me.
Tell me more.
I got to say, this is like I'll say a couple things that are critical of ShareGrid, but I will also say that when things went wrong, they did a great job.
Okay, that's good to hear.
I got very few questions asked. The value of my stuff was replaced.
Okay.
Yeah,
and that was
quickly.
The good thing is now they have a thorough verification on insurance. Right?
Yeah, well, and they also have I think it's like a $25,000 guarantee. So I won't rent anything worth more than $25,000 on there. So that means
you won't rent to someone anything that's over 25.
Right.
Okay.
So I won't rent my Alexa 35 on there because let's say someone rented one Master Prime. That would be covered if it gets stolen or whatever happens. So it includes voluntary parting. If a person on ShareGrid, we can tell people who don't know what voluntary parting is, but
that's
if someone
most scary thing because insurance companies don't.
Unless you pay for voluntary parting, but I don't. I thought maybe you would because you're more of a rental house than I am.
It's a very interesting debate between rental houses.
It's a lot more.
Yeah.
It's a lot more money to pay for something. And for people who don't know.
Especially for the Bay Area right now, especially when we had the height of theft happening.
Yeah.
a lot of insurance companies were
Right.
moving away from it.
Right. So, should we just tell people real quick what it is?
Go ahead.
So, voluntary parting is it's a thing to add onto your insurance. So, if you have your equipment covered by insurance, but you hand your equipment over to somebody who doesn't return it, that is not covered in the same way as even if you took your camera and purposefully smashed it on the ground, that is covered. You can break your own camera and they'll cover it. You can drop your own camera and they cover it.
Yeah.
If you hand it over to someone, if your camera gets stolen, like even out of your car, they're careful about that. But if it gets stolen from your house, out of your car, whatever, it's covered. But if it gets stolen in a way where you handed it over to the person who stole it, which is like a rental that doesn't get returned, that's not covered unless you pay for voluntary parting insurance.
That's true.
It's just a thing to know. I don't pay for that because I'm not handing my equipment over to anybody who I wouldn't trust completely with it.
That's true.
So I only work within my network with things, except for some things on ShareGrid that I do every now and then if it seems worth it to me.
Yeah.
And this is where I can get into how I'm a little bit critical of ShareGrid. One, I think they've made all of the prices drop down.
That is true.
Which is okay. I get it. But if you've invested a lot in equipment, it's a question. It's a fine line between driving prices down and having more rentals. I don't know whether I've come out on top by ShareGrid existing, because I feel like everyone who owns top end stuff like we do, we're now competing with a wider market with some people who are even from LA or from people who don't live here who are willing to ship their stuff here.
Yeah.
So their cameras are half the price of what they really should be because they're going to work them into the ground. But you and I talked at the beginning of ShareGrid, and we're like, let's keep our prices where they should be. And that's what we do. Yeah.
It's wear and tear, right?
But I don't get a lot of rentals on there, and that's fine. I don't care.
We get, and we also it's specific items that we have there. Smaller items rent a lot on there, but also there's a level of verification once you start going to the Alexas or the bigger cameras, right?
Well, say you have a Canon lens that's worth $1,000, and then the rental on there, you're going to end up with $20 by the end of that rental.
Exactly.
And you're like, is this worth $20 to talk to this person and then meet them for the pickup and the drop off and all that? Not really.
So I don't know.
Yeah.
That's
but
true.
if you want to take a Sony FX6 for a week, that's fantastic for me.
Yeah.
I love that.
Yep.
That would be great. I love things like that. I love getting rentals that are worth the meetup because that's great.
It makes it worth the while. No, it's true. It drove a lot of prices down. But the respectful part is like knowing the items that there are not many of them, and you also have to keep them at the same price.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's like Alexa 35s. It's not something that you just put in any market and you expect like you're going to dance around the prices.
Right.
And also nobody wants your camera to be abused because you're still using it.
Yeah. Oh, and then even when they start changing things in there, at least on Alexas, you can have a certain profile that you can save to either the camera or to the SD thing, or the USB thing. You can just go set it right back up where you left it. But a lot of stuff, you come on set, and then if it had gone out on a rental, unless you're really going through it when it comes back,
it's a pain.
It's this got changed. What's going on?
I know. It's like because you have the confident.
Yeah.
And especially since the cameras that we are renting out, we also use them.
Yeah.
You have an idea of where the button is, and probably you're like running and gunning, and you press it. You're like, wait, what is that?
Yeah.
What just happened there? If you don't spend the time to reset it at the beginning. But to that, you came from an Alexa Mini, right?
Yeah. Let's go through the whole thing.
Let's go through the whole thing of the cameras.
let's say, random DV cameras,
Okay.
HVX 200, Panasonic.
Oh, yep, yep.
Were you in that
I was
world?
in that.
Okay, that was like my first nice camera.
Yep.
It was amazing.
Hold on.
Solid state, first time.
Hold on. There was I was at a 5D first.
This is before. The Panasonic HVX 200s are small sensor video cameras.
Okay, yeah, they came out and then we moved to
That was the
DSLRs.
next thing.
That was the next thing. Yep.
So there was this middle period there where we had ground glass 35 millimeter adapters, and I had that.
Oh,
and that was the first time we were able to do shallow depth of field, shooting with photo lenses, and it would be these.
What was it? It was what is the company that
Lettuce? I think it's
Yeah.
Lettuce or Letus. I don't know.
Yep.
One of those.
Yeah,
however you
I
say
was
it.
trying to remember. Yep.
Yeah, I had those, and it would be a contraption that went between the lens and the camera, and then all of a sudden it was like, and it was like when gimbals came out for the first time. It was like, oh my goodness, this looks like now they're kind of an everyday thing, and it doesn't have that impressive thing to you.
Yeah.
But when it came out, it was like, this just went from looking like a home video to a movie. Oh my goodness. It was so fun and such a pain in the neck because you could get a little piece of dust in there on the ground glass, and then it's just doing a circle of dust and things like that. And it was, it wasn't made by Sony or something like that. It was made by these guys.
It was an aftermarket.
Yeah, it was like, it looked like a 3D printed thing or something. And so I had that, and it was, like 2 feet long. It was the first time I had like 15 millimeter rods.
Yep.
Because you had to have it all on this
Support the
thing, and
whole
it was
unit.
giant. And I guess that was good training to start using big, because now they're the big anyway. Okay, but then I went from that to I had a few of the different DSLRs. So
you
like
jumped from that to DSLRs?
the DSLRs came out right after I had
you
that.
had the P2 cards.
Yeah, the P2 cards on the
Yeah,
HVX 200.
yeah.
And then I went into like, I think I had, I don't even remember what they're called, but like the GH1 and the GH2 or something like that.
Okay.
Was it a Panasonic?
Yeah, Panasonic.
Yeah, I had that, and then I didn't like it, so I got like a Canon T3i, I think.
Okay.
Or a T2i. I think I had a Canon T2i.
Yeah.
And that's all my stuff from like way back when I went to like Kenya and stuff. My photos and the videos from back then was on that T2i. And I'll still look back and I'm like, that looked pretty damn good. It looks pretty good. And then like 5D. And then C300, Canon C300.
Yep.
And that felt like a game changer when it came out. And then after the C300, I got the Alexa Mini. And that was the next thing that felt like a game changer. And then 2 years ago or whenever it was, I did the Alexa 35.
You had the Amira too.
I had the Amira also.
The Amira.
I bought that from a client that was liquidating their video department. I didn't really need it, but I got a good deal on it. And I ended up selling that after having it for a little while. In part because work got a little bit slower. And I was like, I don't need.
I'm sitting.
I had 3 Arri cameras, and that felt crazy. And I didn't really want that, but I did a couple shoots with like 2 or 3 cameras. I was like, I'm glad I had those.
Yeah.
But then after that, it just felt, and it was a headache. Just have too many things, and if something goes wrong with one of them, and I just like to have.
I gotta repair this.
And I had a red Komodo, and I got rid of that too.
Oh yes, you did. Yeah.
So now I just have 2 cameras. I have the Alexa 35 for things like my own work and for things with enough budget to pay for it. And then I have the Sony FX6, which is fantastic for like super lightweight run and gun or lower budget things that I still want to take. But
so what made you leave the Red World?
I never trusted it.
Okay.
You mean the Komodo?
Yeah.
I never trusted it. I thought that I've read too many things about people having them, like the SDI. There's one SDI on there, and people, and it goes wrong.
It's been a big
and
problem.
I've been on shoots where that happened. After I sold it, that happened on a shoot I was on. But that was part of it. I never totally trusted it. it was too much to build up.
Mm.
And I thought this was going to be some fantastic, especially for my own work. This is so lightweight, and the picture was all right. And
Yeah,
I
yeah.
was like, oh, I can take this little thing. But then to make it usable, you're putting these batteries on it, another monitor on it, and all of a sudden, it being this little tiny box,
Kinda
it's not
big.
this big of an advantage as you think.
Yeah, yeah.
So I had that in the FX6. So I bought the Komodo before the FX6, and then already started feeling like this is not, I don't like this on set. And then the FX6 came out. I was like, I'm going to buy that instead. And they're about the same price point.
Yeah.
And then I just rolled with the FX6 for things that were lower budget, and it had like real autofocus that you can actually use. So
That's an
for
advantage.
certain things,
Yeah,
it's
for
really
the lower budget stuff, you're able to run around. And that's,
yeah.
like, I think back to the, like, looking at, okay, coming from the HVXs to all these cameras, I went to the HPX because I thought it was like an upgrade to the HVX. It was smaller, lighter, still P2. But moving into the DSLRs was exactly what I felt Red was. It's like you have to
Yeah.
build this whole thing out. We still have those like handles and everything, monitor on the side, just to get this
And
thing
the
to work.
NDs.
NDs.
That was a
like
big reason I
every
didn't
single
like it.
thing you have to kind of build it. I get the idea for it, especially if you want to stay lean or whatever. But half of the shoots that you're doing, you're trying to do cinema style, so you're building this thing out.
Right.
And that,
especially if you're going to use that camera in the first place.
exactly. Every single time I have to build it, and that's why I think RE1, where everything is built in.
Yeah.
I put a lens. EVF is good quality. I'm not
Now they
shopping
are.
around
Yeah.
monitors, like being like, hey, I need to find this monitor. I need to find this. But that's, I think, to us, and you can tell me in terms of like the type of stories that we do. The camera's a tool in it, but also the tool is supposed to help you do it easier than it being.
Yeah, I
part
have an
of the huddle.
interesting. I'm not sure if everyone would agree with me on this, but I actually sometimes use things that make my job harder.
Okay. On purpose, or like you
Yeah.
just find yourself. Okay.
Yeah, I think sometimes I think that limitations can be good, and also just makes it a little bit more. This gets back, we were talking a little bit about AI.
Yeah.
I like doing things manually, and I like things being a little bit imperfect in a way that looks human. So using lenses that have autofocus and stuff, it's not really what I'm trying to do. I'm not trying to like lock focus on an eye forever and have a really clean image. I like to play around with. I like it sometimes clean. It depends on the project.
Yeah. Yeah. That's true.
But what I'm doing right now is working on my first feature film.
Yes.
So we can talk a little bit about that. But just talking about it in a production sense, I was working completely alone on this. There was no crew, just me. And I've done a lot of that, especially with the UFC, to bring it back to that.
And I would love to get into that because I'm sure it will be interesting to see how your thought process walking into it and capturing that, because that's an extreme sport.
The UFC stuff?
Yeah.
Yeah. So well, I'll just tie up the limitations thing. So the thing that I'm working on now, it was like I shot it on the Alexa 35. It's a pretty heavy camera when it's built out.
Yeah.
And I was using super speeds, which
Okay.
are very manual. They're manual and they're like a little bit gritty. Gritty meaning more like they have quote unquote character. And it's when you're focusing it, it's not like pulling on on like a Master Prime or something like that.
Yes.
I did pick them in part because they were a lot lighter than something like Master Primes. But I liked having the physical limitations of what I was able to do by having a heavier camera that was a little bit of a burden to me.
Okay.
That was really thick files, like 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 what would you call it? Like a high bit rate.
Yeah, yeah, because you're shooting what, ProRes 444 or
I
422,
did
or where you at?
422.
422.
Yeah. And HQ. Yeah.
Okay, yeah, so you're
Um,
heavy on the files.
so I like to feel like I'm shooting film, not in a way to like necessarily imitate film, though I'm kind of guilty of that in a way, but more there's something about like if you were a writer and you were writing on a typewriter
Mm-hmm.
and you were laboring on that typewriter
Mm-hmm.
and you were feeling it, the tactile quality of it, and it required more of you.
Mm.
I think that you're maybe more likely to make a work of art than if you were to use a computer, or not necessarily more likely, but you'll make something different. Um, and another way to think about it a little bit like the films that Herzog made,
Okay.
and he's hit or miss for me.
Okay.
But if you think about Fitzcarraldo
Uh-huh.
and the film, they have to get this boat over a giant hill,
Yeah.
or I don't know if they call it a mountain or a hill, but they have to get a boat over a hill with no machinery. And that is happening in the story of the film,
Yeah.
but they're also doing it in real life in the film.
Yeah.
So there's a documentary. What's it called? I don't know if you've seen it, but it's about the making of Fitzcarraldo, and it's called. It'll be obvious to find if anyone wants to look it up. I just forget the name of it.
We'll put it up.
It's really interesting, and like a lot of what the film about, it's the spirit of attempting something that feels impossible.
Okay.
And there's something about the film that I was making, or I am making now, but I'm in editing. It wasn't that extreme, but there was an element of that felt true for me. That I was doing something that was requiring more of me, and also it was more from me than it was from machines that were making my life easier. If that makes any sense.
It makes sense.
It required work, and
Yeah.
it was like a weight I was carrying. And I just felt like I was putting a lot into it. And the plus, obviously, is I love the image out of the LX35.
Yeah.
That's great.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
there were times when I was shooting, I was like, I can't believe I'm doing it on this camera.
You're like, I could go lighter anytime.
Yeah.
I know a little bit about the film. Are you able to share a little bit about the feature film?
Yeah. So it is. I'm hesitant to call it a documentary exactly, but it is a film about Cornel West.
Yes.
So it is a film with and about him, and most people would call it a documentary. It's in the editing right now, but I'm thinking of it more as just, it's a film. I mean, I think of documentary as a really weird term. It's not a weird term, but it's a weird category because it's so broad.
Yes.
Whereas in narrative cinema, I mean, documentaries can have narratives. That's the other thing. We think of narrative cinema as what's not documentaries, but documentaries can have narratives in them. But dramatic narrative cinema has so many genres and subgenres. It's like an entire tree of categorization.
Yeah.
And then there's documentary. And there's so many different ways you could make something involving real people and real situations. And I actually grew up, my not initial interest in film, but from the time I was a teenager, my main interest in film, as I became someone who was thinking about becoming a filmmaker, was in avant-garde experimental cinema.
Okay.
And so much of that is those filmmakers, and my interest, a lot of it was from the 50s through the 70s, what those filmmakers were doing.
Okay.
So much of that stuff is those people filming things in situations in their real lives.
Yeah, yeah.
But what they were making, you wouldn't call them documentaries. Everyone was fighting over what you could call them, whether you call them avant-garde cinema, that sounds kind of pretentious, experimental film, that's kind of pretentious, and then you're not always experimenting the whole time. That's not necessarily a good definition.
Yeah.
They were calling them poetic films at one
Yeah.
time. But, you know, if you're working with friends or family members or people who are not acting,
Yeah.
it's all of a sudden it's put in a certain box. So that's why I'm a little hesitant to call it
A
necessarily a documentary. But
Okay.
for the sake of discussion, that's what it is, because
Okay,
it's
okay.
like, you know, I'm debating right now in the edit whether or not we're going to use any of the 10 interviews that I shot at all, because it doesn't necessarily feel like that's what the film wants to be, though I might sprinkle a little bit of it in there.
Okay.
But it's mostly more like what people could call like a verite documentary or something.
Got
It
it.
feels like you're in that world
Okay.
with him. And it is during the time period from when he announced that he was going to run for president until Election Day, and maybe I will shoot a little bit beyond Election Day, November 5th.
Okay.
It's not a hero's journey quest to see if he'll win,
Okay.
because that seemed to me obvious that he wouldn't from the beginning. So
Yeah.
the film is not dependent on the drama of setting up that story. Will Cornel West win the presidency? It's more an exploration. It's more like a character study of him. And that's the backdrop, the election and the campaign. And I was thinking about it. It's like, in a lot of ways, it has as much in common with the film Taxi Driver as it has with, I don't know, name a documentary, because it's more of a character study of he's a positive character in my
Yes.
view compared to Travis and Taxi Driver, who shoots up the place. There's some positive things about Travis and Taxi Driver, but you know, he crosses a certain line there into insanity, where Cornell is not doing that, in my opinion. But it is a character of a man who wouldn't take it anymore.
Okay.
It's a character study of a man who wouldn't take it anymore, who's taking a stand against the bullshit,
Yeah.
right? The bullshit of American politics and capitalism on steroids, and like what he would call a spiritual blackout in our country and beyond. So it is exploring his philosophy, personality, relationships that turned him into who he is.
Yeah.
It's part of philosophy. It's part artistic. It's him tying together art, whether that's music, painting, whatever, writing, a lot of writing, and philosophy and politics. Really, it's those worlds together, both in the personal and the public. So that's really what it is. Yeah.
And in this film, you're director and cinematographer.
Everything.
How was that journey? And I know you've directed more.
Yeah. So I love it.
Okay.
Going back to my quote unquote experimental avant-garde roots, that's what those people were mostly doing. It was like we said, I do believe that nothing is completely a venture on your own.
Yeah.
You're making things with people, and in that way, the film with Cornel West and his wife and his brother and a number of other people, it's a collaboration with them.
Yeah.
Not other filmmakers so much, but it is a collaboration with them. But as far as the craft of the filmmaking being all me, that was another part of the labor that I liked. Having it be harder was good. But it was also something I learned from the UFC stuff.
Yeah.
That you can get a completely different world of stuff when you're alone. And then he's been someone who's been a part of my life to one degree or another since I was a kid, because he's really... Well, he's one of my dad's best friends, so he's like an uncle to me. And I'm much closer with him now than I was 2 years ago before the film started. But he was comfortable with me in a way that he wasn't with any other filmmakers, because a lot of people have wanted to tell his story, and he's not wanted to do a documentary in that way that's let people into his life in that way. But he's comfortable with me being in
But
the
there's
room.
trust there.
There's a lot of
There's
trust.
trust of I
And
know you, you know me, you know the family.
right,
Sometimes you can get a better story out of that because
right,
the guard is down.
right.
You
And
know.
his wife I didn't really know until the beginning of the filming, but now I'm really close with her. She's a friend of mine.
Yeah.
And neither of them would have wanted a crew.
Just-
Even one other person besides me. That can be a real sweet spot for a doc if you can have two people, because it's still really intimate. And if two people can wear 5 hats, that's a good sweet spot, because it's not a large crew in someone's home. That's what I would do if
Yeah.
I had.
To you, what position would you feel on that?
When
What
I'm in a big
skill
crew,
level for the two? So there is you. Who's the other person? What
ideally,
what
like if I
knowledge?
could have
Yeah,
another person,
yeah.
what would they do? I would love to have someone who could, for one, kind of co-direct with me, so they
Okay.
can be asking some questions too, and then they can kind of hang on the intellectual level with it all. I don't mean like they're smart enough, but they're kind of just up on the story. So it's not, I'm not alone on that.
Yeah.
But that person would be doing sound,
I was good.
because
That's the
that
most
is really
important.
hard to
I
do.
know.
And then having them do a little bit of second camera work,
Yeah.
whether that's getting cutaways or a second angle. I did a little bit of 2 cameras by myself. I brought the Komodo along on some of it, and what we're editing now, when there was that Komodo, it's really handy for some of those scenes.
Yeah.
We're making magic happen with the other stuff. I know how to
Amazing.
shoot that way, but it is in the editing room. A lot of the magic is in the edit to make it feel like you're in a scene. If you only have one camera,
Yeah.
and you're not making it look, it's not all jump cuts kind of style. It feels like you're watching more of like a dramatic narrative film, but it's one camera. There's ways to do that that's a little bit more set up in some great films that I've seen, but it's a specific style and things are often set up to a degree.
Okay.
So it would be like, if, say, I don't know, we were having this conversation, it wasn't a studio, but we were at a cafe and we were talking about this. Like, you could set up that conversation and you could shoot it with one camera angle. Like, I really liked the film Truffle Hunters. Did you see that one?
No, I haven't seen that one.
Check it out. It's what I would call like an artistic film that would be in the documentary section of the film festival.
Okay.
But they do long takes of conversations with one camera, and they're somewhat composed. But you can tell that the filmmakers would say, "We'll have this conversation here, and you guys talk it out."
Check it out. Okay.
And
is it a
that's
master?
one way to do
Is
it.
it a master wide 2-shot or is it like a single?
It's like a single, usually wide, long take shot, one camera on that. My film's not like that, but that would be a way to do it.
Yeah.
That would be a little bit more set up. Mine is more improvisational, which is part of like the form and the content being married together, because Cornel West is he's an improv guy. He's a jazz man, as he would say. So he is doing for oration what jazz did for music.
Okay.
And I'm doing some of that, or a lot of what my approach was for this film is that for camera work. It's improvisational participation in the room with a camera, for a lot of it. Not all of it is exactly that way, but that's a way to think about it. So I'm not setting it up and setting him up in situations. It's not like, it's not directed
you're
in that way.
anticipating how you're thinking of the edit as you're actually shooting.
Yeah, definitely.
And you thought, do you think coming from, I'm taking you back to your roots, like, UFC, to, I know you've been embedded into like some music artists.
Well, that's the word to say.
You know,
Embedded, because that was the name of the UFC show that I mostly shot.
Oh, Okay.
UFC embedded.
Okay. And
Yeah.
let's go back. We're gonna reel it until you get us through of just the
Yeah.
experience on
We
that.
keep
'Cause it
dancing
feels
around
like,
the UFC thing for some reason. It's
because
funny.
that's it, you know, like I know you've done a lot, but there's different types of filmmakers who have different types of backgrounds, and you find yourself some of these environments shape how you actually see, how you actually move, how you actually operate, right?
Yeah.
You have commercial cinematographers, or you have photographers, tons, cinematographers, and that experience and background that they bring forth, it defines in a way how they actually see or how actually they move on set,
Right.
Um, and you know, to you exploring that, right? You're coming from sports to just the embedding into different environments, and you're still able to come out with a full story. To now the documentary, that's a feature, you know, narrative that you actually, you know, still embedded somewhere in there,
Yeah.
and you're able to come out with a full project.
Right.
That's the thought process that I think, you know, would be great to hear from you in terms of how do you walk into this environment, or how was that journey coming, you know, like from the start, and what are the key points that you had in it?
Yeah. So, okay. So bringing it back to when I started and kind of went on a tangent about, I got this call to work with Floyd Mayweather from Showtime. A couple days after I got that call, I went to Vegas and filmed at his gym. And these were all the people that had done, I can't believe I always blank on the name, but it was whatever the show was for HBO, transitioned to Showtime because I believe Floyd Mayweather transitioned his deal from HBO to Showtime. So then a lot of the people who shot, I think it was called 24/7.
Okay.
24/7. It was one of these early embedded style shows, kind of like there was the football one. I blank on the names of the old shows,
Yeah,
but
yeah.
there was the football one, there was that 24/7 one, and they were the first shows of their kind like that. And then the Showtime one was called All Access.
Yes.
And the setup was, I'm trying to remember, it was like 2 camera people, a sound person, and a producer, and then maybe a couple other, maybe a PA, and then the boxing team. And it would be, we'd film as much as we could. That the producers took care of all that stuff, and then I was a camera guy.
Yeah.
And we were shooting on 5Ds.
Okay.
And one of the producers for the show was obsessed with the as shallow as could be. So he wanted the 5D, big sensor, wide open. And I fought a little bit to get my C300 on it when that came out. I was working on that show, but when that came out, and I was like, you know, I'd really love to be able to work on this thing because it's so much easier to work with.
Yeah, yeah.
And he let me, but he wasn't thrilled with it because he wanted the shallower the better for him. Because it was
Shallow,
early
yeah.
in those days,
Yeah,
you know? It was
yeah,
like
when
people
it
were
just
really
come
into
out.
that. And so I worked a couple days on the Floyd Mayweather stuff. I didn't feel like I knew Floyd Mayweather in any way. I was just there, and it was just 2 days. And it was interesting because Floyd Mayweather is, you know, as many problems as he has, whatever, he's an amazing boxer and
Yeah.
an outlier of a human being in a
Yeah.
lot of ways. We filmed, the day I showed up, we filmed him. He had just been coming back from, as a break, running like 7 miles. That was his break. He had done a training session.
Okay.
Then while we showed up, he was out running between training sessions, and
Okay.
then did such an insanely intense training session that we filmed.
Okay.
Whether, you know, from mitts to sparring to a jump rope.
Yeah.
If, you know, just look him
From
up,
7 miles, and he's like,
look him up jump roping, and you're like, oh my goodness, like he's running in the jump rope. And then, you know, we're in the locker room and whatever. He's just kind of got like a towel over his head, and he's like, let's go play basketball. And it's like 1 a.m. at this time because he stays up at night because that's when they fight. So
Oh,
let's
he's
train when
getting
we would
his
be fighting.
mind. No. Oh.
So done with the
Okay.
training, running, training. Now he wants to go play basketball. So he gets in a Lamborghini and he goes to Wendy's and he gets a burger or whatever, eats that, and then we go to a public gym, and then it's like a pickup game with like 9 guys and Floyd playing basketball in the middle of the night. And that was like my first day of that kind of stuff. And then I switched over to his opponent, who was Robert Guerrero from Gilroy,
Yeah.
and worked with him in the same sort of setup. One other camera person. Well, Floyd had people he was comfortable with, so I think they probably weren't available those 2 days or something. So those people started working with Floyd, and they knew Floyd, and they were more like friends. And then I worked with Robert Guerrero with a crew of a couple people, including the producer who did everything, talking to them. Guerrero's team, including his dad and his coaches, didn't want us there. They were nice enough. I think that they were pretty cool, but that wasn't their style. They didn't really want us there. I worked with them. I don't know. It was like a month or 6 weeks of working with them leading up to this fight.
Yeah.
And I basically lived in. So we did some in Gilroy, and then we went to Vegas, and they were giving us the runaround. They would say, we're going to this gym. They'd go to a different gym. And
just
so much of it was just me hanging out in a hotel in Vegas. And I also, like, this was like earlier on in my career, and I was just like, oh, I'm making a pretty good rate. This is great. I'm working every day. Like, this is awesome. Okay, I don't mind. And it was bizarre because Vegas is. Vegas is weird.
Oh, yeah.
It's one of the weirdest places on earth. And, I was in this odd, it was like a motel, but like you'd have a suite. And then every night there would be weddings of like elopers that would just be like one man and one woman getting married in the courtyard. And I would just go out and watch the wedding, and they would play a CD that was a mix of wedding songs every night that was the same. And it was like Elvis and stuff like that.
Same officiator is like, we're cashing in over here.
Yeah. So that was like my world there.
Okay.
So then some of the people that I worked with on that shoot worked on UFC stuff.
Okay.
So they did the show Road to the Octagon and stuff like that. And I'm not that interested in boxing, to be honest with you. I don't care about it. But I liked MMA. I did jujitsu for a while, and I just liked it.
Yeah, yeah.
And I was like, I'm more interested in doing that. So they got me going on that. So like outside of the Showtime thing, I got connected with those people. So I shot a couple things that were in that same sort of style, that were more like shows that would get edited over a long period of time, that we'd shoot for weeks and then go up, like Road to the Octagon or whatever.
Yeah.
I shot a couple of those. And then they had a new idea for a show called UFC Embedded.
Okay.
And that was going to be Fight Week, or a little longer than Fight Week, like 10 days, something like that, leading up to the fight. And they're going to post an episode. It wasn't 10 episodes. Let's say it was 5 or 6 or something like that. But we'd front load a little bit of it. So you'd get like a couple days of filming. Then as Fight Week came, they would release an episode every day.
Got it.
And it was on the internet. It wasn't on like Showtime or something like that. It was like on UFC's YouTube channel or something. But it got really popular. And it was like became kind of part of the sport in its own way. It's like a lot of people would find out news from UFC Embedded about what's going on with these fighters. So like, oh, so-and-so got injured, or oh, so-and-so's having trouble making weight or whatever.
Yeah.
So the first one I did, I think it was the first one I did, it was the same sort of setup as those boxing ones. It was like a producer, 2 camera people, sound person, and a PA. And then I think the first two were like that. And then we started doing, no, let me see. No, okay, so no, it wasn't the first two. The first one I did was like that. And it was with Daniel Cormier against Dan Henderson. Okay, so Daniel Cormier is out of Gilroy also. Fast forward, he became the champion of the world in 2 different weight classes,
Yeah.
but back then he was not, and he was fighting a legend named Dan Henderson. And Daniel Cormier goes by DC a lot of the time. It's kind of his nickname. DC is just so cool. He's so chill and fun, and it wasn't anything like working with the boxers. And he likes a lot of people around. He likes people being in his house. He doesn't like, I think he probably grew up with a lot of action going on in the house. He doesn't want it quiet. He wants people hanging out. And I just, there was one night where I think we were done shooting with the crew.
Yeah.
And I just went and shot with him. Just me and his friends. And I hung out with him in his hotel room and got all kinds of content. And then the show, I think, I don't want to like toot my horn, but I believe that's why the show transitioned to being that only. They were like, oh, this can be done by one person and hanging out with these people if they get comfortable with them. It doesn't need to be like multiple camera angles and like you just throw a wire on the guy and get these scenes. It's not about it looking polished. It's about you capturing the scene and about it feeling real and about it feeling like it happened today. So that became UFC Embedded, and I did that for years and years working. I did all of Daniel Cormier's fights, and then I did all of Ronda Rousey's fights as she came up and became like a global superstar.
Yeah.
And then I did a few other fighters like TJ Dillashaw, Chad Mendez, Matt Brown, and probably another one or two. But it was mostly Daniel Cormier and Ronda Rousey.
Yeah.
And the path was just me following them for their career. And then I stopped. And the reason I stopped, there are multiple reasons. One, the pandemic happened and I wasn't really like that into working on that stuff during the pandemic.
Yeah.
But I wasn't going to miss a Cormier training camp because he was like a friend at that point.
Yes.
I wasn't going to miss one of his. I was part of the team. I'm expected to be there.
Yeah.
And that felt really good to me. So that's a lot of why I did it. It was because I was like, I love being part of this team. I love all the people involved. I love his coaches. I know his wife. I love his wife, his kids, his trainers. They're like, and it's all like a party when you're hanging out with them. Like this is wild and hilarious and ridiculous. And I wasn't going to miss him. But when he retired, I was like not trying to pick up another fighter because it's a crapshoot if you're going to get someone that cool or not.
That's true.
So fighters are fighters.
The
so you're
people that you were connecting with more than the actual just shooting.
Yeah. So that's a nightmare if you're working alone. And I'm actually really introverted naturally. I'm pretty good at hanging out when I have a camera. But when I don't, I'm kind of shy. And it doesn't come across that much when I'm working, but it's like a good scenario for me to have a camera and stuff. But if I were with like a fighter who's like a tough jock asshole, that's not fun for me. And you need to get footage and they don't want you there. Like if they don't want you there and it's on you, there's no producer to rely on, and you have to be there. And if you don't deliver, there's a problem. Like what happens with the episode tonight then? Oh, he ditched me. I don't know. I've had some experiences like that, and it sucks.
It does.
So
I've experienced that with work too. It's like
So there was that. There was the pandemic. There was also that I started making more money in other ways. Yeah, and the rates were dropping as the show started changing hands too. It went from it was like a company making it for the UFC to the UFC, and the rates fluctuated. But then at a certain point, I was kind of like, I'm doing this because I want to be a part of that team, not because
yeah.
I need the money. And then the final reason was I just burnt out. I was like tired of it.
Yeah.
It was becoming, besides it being kind of fun with the team, it was kind of like we're telling the same story, and this is becoming like a factory of the show embedded, and it's just every Tuesday of Fight Week is going to be the same thing. Every Thursday of Fight Week is going to be the same thing, and we're going through the motions, and that's boring, and that's
true.
not what I want to do. And I did a lot of them, so it became repetitive.
There's a formula now. You're like,
Yeah.
I just don't even have to think about it.
Yeah.
To you, and you know, I did San Jose. I did a lot of Bellator fights.
Oh, you did?
Yeah, it was interesting when they were in town, and it's an interesting mindset. I don't know how, you know, especially for you, because at this point they're your friends,
Right.
right?
Did you worked with fighters, or you were in?
We worked with fighters. Like, you know, before the fight, you're spending time. They're training just a little bit pre, and then when they go into the fight and after. But the psychology to them walking in and the confidence, you know, and sometimes the fight doesn't go your way.
Yeah.
But it's like tomorrow you have to kind of reset and go back. There's a lot of like, you know, looking at it and seeing just the fights. It was a lot of lessons for me, like just seeing it. To you, how was that? Like seeing, you know, because obviously not all the fighters that you were embedded with won every fight.
Oh, yeah.
But that level of like, okay, I did everything, I gave everything, but, and you know, UFC's like can take a couple seconds. It's just one wrong move.
Yeah.
And the fight goes the other way.
I think a lot of them are amazing people. I think that in one way, I feel like I've learned from some of them, and also feel like it's just a window into a certain type of outlier that's interesting to witness. I'll just give an example of something yesterday. Do you know who Ben Askren is?
I don't think I do.
So he was really successful outside of the UFC. Then he came into the UFC, wasn't that successful, and then he boxed. What are those YouTubers' names who box?
The guy who just boxed with
Tyson.
With Tyson.
And I'm blanking on the name. That's a good sign that we can't remember their names anymore. But
you know who it is?
Jake Paul.
Yeah, Jake Paul.
Jake Paul.
He boxed. He was the first fighter to box Jake Paul, and then he got his ass beat because he's not a striker. He's a wrestler.
Okay.
He's also smaller than Jake Paul. All those things.
Okay.
He's retired. He's a wrestler, and it was the first like pro fighter that Jake Paul beat. Anyway, he this year he had a really, really severe medical problems, and he's in the middle of it now.
Okay.
So he got a staph infection that spread to his lungs and gave him severe pneumonia, and he's had to have both of his lungs replaced.
Okay.
And yesterday I saw a video that brought tears to my eyes of him updating the world on. He hasn't talked publicly about it, and he's there with like a tube, and he's skin and bones and just looks like a different person, and he's just telling people about what it's been like. And he's died multiple times, technically. You know, like when your heart stops, they call it
stops.
Yeah, they call it dying.
Yeah.
I can't remember if it was like 10 times that happened to him or something. I don't want to give the wrong detail. Maybe it was 4. I think maybe he said 10. He doesn't remember the last few months. He's been at death's door for a long time now. And the way he's telling the information it's like a miracle to watch someone that tough. He gets choked up by saying how much it's meant to him, the love that people have showed him. Okay. That chokes him up. He can barely breathe. And I was emotional because not only is it just someone suffering, but it's someone fighting to that degree without giving up is an amazing lesson and
is.
inspiration to see someone do.
It
And
is.
I've just, not that other people who aren't fighters don't do it from time to time, but this was really impressive. You know, you could go into a hospital down the street and see someone being heroic in that way. But this was a video I got to see of
Wow.
this guy talking about it. And I was just thinking, these fighters are a different breed, man.
They are. Hey, you gotta be from taking that beating every single time.
Yeah.
With the anticipation, you know.
And one interesting thing that you learn by being behind the scenes or part of the camps or whatever, taking the beatings is like the smallest part of it for them. That's difficult. The difficult thing for them is it's the daily grind that they've kind of been doing since they were a kid. A lot of them were wrestlers and then whatever. But it's that daily grind, everything that they've given up, all the things that were fun that they didn't do to do this. And then the hardest thing for them fight week is the weight cut.
Okay.
So when you ever listen to Chael Sonnen, he's an interesting podcaster. I like him.
Okay.
He's funny and he's really good at breaking down the industry of the UFC. And he does the podcast alone. He just does them himself and talks to the camera. And he says that fighters don't retire because of the fights. The fighters retire because of the scale. They don't want to beat that scale anymore. So if they're not going to go up in a weight class, that's what retires them. They don't want to be 100 and
I see what
they
you're
don't want to
saying.
be a guy who weighs 185 pounds when
Yeah.
they're walking around the street and then weigh 155 pounds on a certain day to be able to fight at that weight class. Because those guys are cutting water weight and then fighting a day later. And I've been around them all those times were around when they were cutting the weight, and it looks like torture. The fight is not the thing for them. It's not, and it's definitely not getting hit in the face. It's not like that. That would bother us when we picture it.
Yeah.
It's making a weight, and then they don't want to get embarrassed in the fight.
Yeah.
They don't want to lose the fight in some bad way. And then another crazy thing about fights is that when you lose a fight, you've lost something in multiple ways. You've lost your hopes and dreams, like your money, like your chance of you're making either millions or zero. Like say you lost a championship fight.
Yeah.
Am I going to be able to make millions, or is my career over? You've taken a physical beating, most likely. I mean, you could get it submitted, but most likely you've taken a lot of punches, so you feel beat up. And then I have to put it in a gender neutral way, but you've lost your man or womanhood. So you've been, in the most basic human level, dominated physically by someone else.
Yeah.
So those are three major ways that you are having to deal with all of that in a mature way and either bounce back or retire. It's a lot. It's a lot to deal with. So these guys are really tough, man.
That's what and I think that was my takeaway from just the few pieces I've done over there is just the resilience of, the mindset, right? And definitely, as you say, it takes a certain mindset to actually be able to take that, and the following week you're back into training and going back into it.
Do you remember the names of the fighters that you worked with?
No, actually, but the video's actually online right now.
Oh yeah. I'll check it out.
I'll find them. We did a couple of trainings, and
were they out of the bay, or were they more
bay.
in the
They're out of the bay,
Oakland?
No, just San Jose.
Yeah, so that's where I think
where Bellator was set up. Kimbo Slice is was it the son?
Kimbo Slice was not from there.
No, but the son was a player. Was a
oh,
fighter
the son
too,
of Kimbo?
right?
I didn't know. I don't know.
I think he lost. Or was it Kimbo himself? I remember
Kimbo himself. I think he fought in Bellator a little bit.
Yeah, so there was a couple fights that we actually I was out there for
Did you happen to be at the one where Vanderlei Silva fought Rumble?
mm-mm.
I think that's what it was. I filmed that one. Um,
Did we have
by
a
chance.
cross paths over there? Probably
No.
not. Probably not. You did more because I think you and I had that conversation because you've done more than I.
Yeah, I was only at one
I had
Bellator thing.
I did
Yeah.
a window of those, and I would get those calls. I'm like, okay, cool. It's
Yeah,
interesting.
yeah.
But like for me, even just doing it was also just a psychological aspect of just seeing this process and following this fighter. And you're embedded with them. I was just meeting them probably like 2 days before, and then the fight. But just the idea of like,
Were you
how
with a
they-
crew or alone?
with the crew.
Yeah.
We were with the crew. We had a sound guy.
Yeah.
On that. It was the same kind of package that you guys had.
Yeah, like
You
the
guys set
earlier
up.
ones. Yeah,
That's why I
yeah,
always
yeah.
assumed it's the same packages that you guys,
That's the
were doing.
standard. Yeah, that's
Honestly, for me, with filmmaking, as long as there's a sound guy, helps a lot. Especially if you're looking at documentary or run and gun kind of style. Because now I have to kind of wear headphones, figure out is your mic, it's kind of scratchy.
The scratching mics, man.
I'm
I
like,
know.
I don't know, but if there's a sound guy, I will get you the most amazing shots because I want to follow where the action is
Yeah.
without being tethered.
Yeah.
And I think that's where the cinema side comes in.
The mics, I'm not an expert at lobbing people. I've watched the videos. I try to do it, and then obviously it's a profession. There's a reason there's sound
someone
people.
who loves it.
But there are certain
the
situations
frequency goes
where
off,
you
and
can't
I'm
use
like,
them.
oh man, my guess is as good as yours.
I know.
can change and try to buy the right mics that actually will give you that. But to you, what kind of filmmaker would you say what would you term yourself? I know it's not defining, but what kind of stuff would you term yourself as that you enjoy as a cinematographer?
Well, I would say if I were to kind of define myself in the world of cinema, I would say that I am an experimental filmmaker or like an art film maker that could be narrative film at heart. And I haven't necessarily followed that path completely. But that's what I feel like I am, that I feel like I'm coming back to now after a long respite of worrying about making money.
Okay.
Honestly. Like, I feel like I got into this for self-expression or self-expression, but also to show the world things that are beautiful or matter.
Okay.
And then moving to San Francisco, getting out of school, and then thinking, how am I going to make money doing this was overwhelming and daunting.
Yeah.
And then I guess my vision was get a solid base of finances.
Okay.
And own the means of production, and then be able to make anything you want.
Okay.
And
have you achieved that?
That's where I feel like I'm getting into now. So the last 2 years I've been making my own documentary. And I feel like it's really easy to, if you go down a different path or if you worry about money.
Yes.
And I'm not saying people shouldn't worry about money because it's in our society, it's important.
Yes.
But it's easy for those habits to change you and to change who you are in a way.
Okay.
I think that we're generally habitual creatures, and we tend to become the habits that we start.
True.
So if you start thinking about running a business,
yes,
that's what you do now. And the business can become your passion.
Yes.
But it's also such a dopamine hit to make money.
Yes.
And to think it's not just greed. It's a relief of fear.
Yes.
So like you're 20 whatever, and you're like, how am I ever going to be okay?
Yes.
And you wanted to be, you're in high school and you wanted to be a filmmaker, and then you got out, and then you're like, what am I going to do to have enough money to have a family? What am I going to do to have enough money to retire someday?
Yes.
And especially in the Bay Area, that feels like a mountain that you cannot finish climbing.
True.
There's not a support network. Those support networks are going away right now. The ones that were there that were few and far between, our government is getting rid of them.
True.
So, and we also just kind of the modern world, we don't have, families aren't the way they were 100 years ago, right?
That's true.
Like
That's true.
people move away, you know, you find your profession and then you go and you chase that.
Yeah.
And it's not like your parents are around watching the kids while you go do things and you've got the
Yes.
auntie and the uncle doing this. It's all on you.
Yes.
It's intimidating.
It is.
And I think that it's really easy to start a business and feel a lot of good things about getting a little bit of security, and then your dreams kind of go away. The reason you got into the industry,
Yes.
kind of, you look back and you're like, I'm 15 years into this thing, and all I've done is a bunch of commercials for stuff I don't care about.
Stuff that died off.
Yeah.
You like
And
it
it's
went
not-
away.
Yeah, it's not all stuff that I don't care about, but you know what I mean.
Yeah.
It's like,
shelf life, basically.
yeah. And at the same time, I feel so grateful that it worked out, because I also don't want to be a starving artist person who goes completely broke and then has to rely on their loved ones to kind of get them through the rest of their life when they had no savings and you just chased your dreams and then you didn't have any responsibility whatsoever.
True.
I think that there's a balance to strike,
Yeah.
but yeah, I think it's I think I've gotten a combination of really lucky
Yes.
and I've taken a path that I'm pretty happy with, but I feel like I'm done with phase one, and I'm in, or whatever phase you want to. I'm in the next phase now,
Okay. Okay.
where honestly, I want to continue doing projects that are mine, that are features,
Yeah.
and then take in the corporate work as it comes in. Just not chasing it, but I never really chased it, but just doing the projects I like, or my friends are doing a thing and I'm going to DP for them. They're directing and I'm going to DP that commercial for them, and that's fun. I like working. I like being on set. It's, like when we get on set together and it's like, oh, it's all hanging out. I love that stuff.
But that's the beauty of it. It's like it's more like that community and just kind of hanging out, exchanging ideas.
Yeah.
So for you, the big picture, what would Noah be like? I'm content now. I'm doing what I love. This is good. This is a flow. What does that look like?
It feels really close to what I have right now.
Okay.
I'll explain to you what my day is like right now, and I love it.
Okay.
So, I don't have a ton of paying work coming in right now, and part of the reason why I'm working, it comes in, and it's like sometimes I work a paid thing, but let's just say it's not one of those days. It's like my focus is on working on this feature film.
Yes. Yes.
I'm not killing myself on it every day.
Okay.
I'm not working like a 12-hour day rushing on getting it done. I'm working like a 5 or 6 hour day on it. So it's like really manageable. And I'm not working like necessarily 7 days a week, but it kind of ends up being like that most of the time because I like it.
Yeah. Yep.
And I'll take breaks when I need to. Like today I haven't gotten in there, but I am working with an editor. We're kind of co-editing it.
Okay.
He's working on it today.
Yeah.
I'm not in there in the edit today because I was coming out here.
Yeah.
I get up at like 8. I don't have kids or family, which would be nice, but that's not what's going on right now. So I can get up whenever I want.
Yes. Yes.
I go out and I walk 3 miles just to kind of get moving. I have a knee
Okay.
problem, so I can't run.
Yeah.
That's what I would do,
Yes.
but I'm just trying not to be a total sedentary person. So I do 3 miles. I get my 10,000 steps in per day. I do 3 miles, and I come back. Then I cook breakfast, I eat that, have my coffee, and then it's like noon. And that's when my day kind of starts, my work day starts. It's ridiculous. Sometimes I pinch myself. I go walk by the beach. I live in the outer Sunset.
Uh-huh.
I go walk by the beach, sometimes into the park. I'll listen to the podcast, or I'll think about my film. I'll come back, cook breakfast, all that stuff. And then I'll work from like noon to like 6.
Okay.
And then I'll cook dinner. And then I'll watch a movie at night. So it's
Oh,
like
man.
kind of ridiculous. It's like I have to remember to be so grateful, because
Yeah.
often I can think about like the negative stuff, like, oh, is this film going to be any good? Like or oh, like business isn't as good as it was last year
Yeah.
because everything, like Hollywood falling apart and AI is taking all that stuff we can get into on another day.
How
probably.
did you find that mental balance and just clarity to be content? And it's a twofold question, because you and I, we spoke about it in terms of, okay, and where we're moving to with the noise of social media and everything, and our peers, and just people, if you log in right now, there's like 100 other noises that are coming at you.
Yeah.
How did you get to where you are, and
Well,
how do you balance that with the current trend right now?
that's a good question. One, I would say that I don't think it's exactly accurate to say I feel content, though I pinch myself and realize that I have it really good.
Got it.
And I think that I'm on the right track. And I don't think, I mean, it's another philosophical discussion, but like what contentment really means. But I do think that you have to stay hungry in one way or another. And I don't want my life to be easy. I want my life to be full and matter.
Yes.
And I want to be on the track to do the things that I think do matter.
Okay.
And I feel like more on that track now than I was 4 years ago,
Got it.
where I was more working on more commercial. I want to work on commercials from time to time just to have like the income and all that stuff. But it feels so much more fulfilling to me to work on a project that feels like, for one, it's my own. And two, it is offering something to the world
Yes.
that that I think should be out there. And
Your voice is in this.
my voice is in it, but also like I just feel like it can change people in a positive way.
Yeah.
The film is not near done, but I'm in the middle of the edit, and some of it blows me away.
Okay.
And that feels so good that motivates me to work on it every day. And I'm
Yeah.
excited to get in there every day. So it's not something like I'm at where I want to be exactly, unless where I want to be is just on the road to where I'm
Yeah, but
going.
the good thing is you're present you're present where you are,
yeah.
which actually helps with what you're creating, because now you have clarity of, this is my focus. You're giving it your all in a way, instead of like, oh yeah, I'm here now, but I'm still trying to juggle because I need to get this other side job going.
Right.
Or you're split in so many places, but it's like, okay, this is the editor's room, director's room. I just need to be here to kind of see how I can push this to be the best film
Right.
ever. So,
And also I would say, okay, if I would I love Cornel West literally, and in the ways that you would say you love anyone, but also in the way you would say you love a family member.
yes.
He's not perfect, nobody is, but the stuff I'm editing every day is really amazing stuff that he's saying all the time about the kind of thing that you and I are talking about.
Yeah.
So that's part of why it's on my mind.
Okay.
And that's part of it changes me
Yeah.
to work on this film. I would also say that in that it's a character study. If I had access to him, I would make a film on Elon Musk because he's interesting. I don't think that he's healthy for himself
Nobody
or the
thinks that,
world.
but
I don't hate the guy.
he's an anomaly.
He's an anomaly.
Yeah,
He's an interesting character, and I would love to do a thing that was exploring his character. But I don't think when I was editing the footage I would feel inspired in the same way.
I see.
I think I'm really lucky that I have access to Cornell West, and that's what I get to be working on this time round, especially. So staying in the present moment, like this is a really good time.
Yes.
This is the time where everything's kind of aligning, where I get to kind of do my own thing.
Yeah.
And it feels like a healthy, inspirational, life-changing thing to be able to work on. So it's also he's so against the capitalist machine of America that's influenced me to care less about the whole money thing. I mean, I feel
so
it
your
feels so
influence is
sick
building in
to
there.
me. Yeah, like just taking a step back and being like, do I really care about that? Or like, how much do I really need to make? And
Yeah.
that's not why I got into this. I didn't get into this to just make as much as I can.
You'll help a
it's
lot
just
of
easy to
filmmakers
remember.
in terms of thinking on that. That's a very good like approach to it. And a lot of filmmakers go through this, all through, right? Which leads to burnout because there's no balance in there. It's like you're chasing the grind
Right.
every single day. To your second question, how do you feel with the noise, and how do you keep the noise out with the social media?
I was going to get back to that too, so I'm glad you remembered to bring it up. I do things to address that in a practical sense. I got rid of Instagram last year. I was addicted to it.
Okay.
Not more than the rest of the world. not like I couldn't get, but it's addictive like most people are. It's a dopamine hit, and it was more like, for me, I wasn't really addicted to looking at people's profiles or anything, or like looking at other filmmakers' work. When I did, that stuff would actually bother me. I would feel things like jealous, or like, how did they do that? Or like, am I that good? Can I do that? And then I would think, then I would take a step back and I'd be like, I don't even like that thing. What am I thinking
What
about?
am I fighting? If I was in that room, I would really want to do it.
Yeah,
That's
I don't
true.
even want to
Yeah,
do that
yeah,
thing that
yeah.
they did. But it's like I'm somehow jealous of the way it looks because I'm a DP.
Yeah.
I feel like I need to be able to provide a look.
Yes.
And it's not necessarily just my self-expression. But like you see something that's just like, even if you don't like it, it's impressive sometimes.
Yes,
And you're
yes.
like, wow, look at that. Or like, ooh, they're really making it. And they're working every day. And everyone tries to make it look like they're working every day, but they're
I know.
not.
Yeah.
And if you have good friends, they'll admit it to you when it's true.
That's
You know,
true.
they're like,
That's
oh,
true.
I'm not really working. I time release those things. I think that's a good thing to know. I think that Instagram can be a fantastic tool for marketing yourself. And it just doesn't feel like me. And I feel really lucky that I got like a financial base without doing it. And then now that times are harder to just like expose myself, I don't really have to go there. I can just take my chances on being me and not do it.
That's easier.
But I just started feeling like those things were toxic. I'd be in there, I'd feel worse. I'd feel worse when I would go on there. I was mostly addicted to reels. So I would just watch hilarious reels. I couldn't get enough of them.
Those are bottomless.
Yeah. And it's like, okay, that's okay. I just watched someone do a skateboard trick that's the coolest trick I've ever seen. And now I'm watching this hilarious little 3-year-old say the funniest thing I've ever heard. And then it's just on and on. Like for like 2 hours at night, instead of watching a film, I've watched like cheap.
Are you going for 2
dope.
hours?
Sometimes at night I would.
Oh man. Okay.
Instead of, I'd be like, oh, I'm not going to watch a movie. I'm just going to do this.
Oh no.
And
Okay.
then,
Okay.
and then you're like, you're on the toilet and you're like scrolling these
So
things and you're
scrolling.
like, I'm doing the most basic human function and I'm flipping through videos. Like,
Videos of random. Oh yeah, that's true.
it's
That
like something out
man.
of Black Mirror or
That's true.
something. I'm
Yeah.
just like plugged into this thing.
I'm gonna take you back because I think just a backstory of how we met.
I remember it.
What was that? Calumet?
It was a Calumet. And I was headed to Kenya. And I think I saw a Kenyan flag or something on
I
you.
think I probably had a bracelet or
Something like
something.
that.
Yeah, yeah.
And I was like, oh, is that a Kenyan flag? And then it turned out that we did the same thing. And then we've been friends since then.
I know that was hilarious. And you were actually going that time,
I was
right?
headed to
You were
Kenya.
headed
Like,
to
and
Kenya.
I was picking up something so I could leave
I, was,
in like a day
I
or two.
remember I was picking up a 9 foot backdrop. You were picking up something. And you were like,
Can't even
"Yeah,
remember what it would
I'm
have
going to
been that I was
Kenya.
picking up.
I'm
Yeah.
going to Kenya right now." I was like, "Oh,
Yeah.
this man." But it's, and that's the thing. Like paths, like you never know how you paths cross.
Right. And one thing that I've noticed is that for people who are kind of introverted, or for people who are by chance working on things at home because that's just the best setup for them,
Yeah,
it does pay off to get yourself out of the house a lot. Whether you got to go on a walk, or you got to go to the store rather than order it on Amazon. Like if we were ordering everything on Amazon then, and you were ordering that backdrop, and then I was ordering
true.
whatever I got, we wouldn't
We'll
even
never
be
have
here right
crossed.
now.
That's true. And like not to definitely putting out the reason why we started the Vine was because of that.
Mm-hmm.
Because you and I, we're filmmakers, we're cinematographers, so we get to be outside, we get to be
Mm-hmm.
around people. Eric, my co-founder, is an editor. They don't get to see a lot of people.
Mm-hmm.
Now, you count COVID was so quiet, right? And him and I would talk, and I have 2 kids, right?
Mm-hmm.
I have 2 kids, my wife, and my wife's mom. So our house is lively 24/7. We
Yeah.
have people in the house. But if you're, you live alone, there's no one else around you. Like you can go probably a day if you don't call someone without talking to anyone,
Right.
right? So you have these two different worlds of like, to some of us, yeah, COVID was there, but we had people, we had conversations. You're running around, kids and doing all that. But if you're alone and live alone, you're kind of isolated, right?
Mm-hmm.
And you come post COVID, and a lot of people lost the connection of how to interact in person and do all that.
Yeah, that's true.
And we're like, with him, when things started opening up, we'd hang out, we'd take walks, we'd do all that. Like, okay, let's start something, because if we're doing this and, these are the conversations, I'm sure there's so many other people that we can normalize being in social environments, learning about each other. Where have you been? What's your journey like? And that started the Vine.
Mm-hmm.
So the Vine was more of like, it has to be in person. It has to
Yeah.
be social. We have to relearn how to actually connect
Right.
in person. Then, hey, I'm used to texting you, or, Instagram, because that's how, Instagram or Facebook or whichever way. Because I'm not sure if that happened to you. You'd meet someone and they're like, yeah, you've been here and here and here. It's like, wait, I don't think we had that conversation. And then you remember, oh, you've been following
Mm-hmm.
my social
Oh.
profile. To them, they feel like they know you and what you've been up to, because
Yeah.
they've been following you on
I
social.
never posted anything like that, so I didn't have that experience, but I can
So
imagine
it's like,
it.
oh yeah, you guys went here. You're like, how do you know that?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because you know how long you've. But then you remember, oh, I posted that picture.
Yeah.
I posted that. But it's just the longing of connection that, okay. And slowly you feel like you've known each other. And I've had situations where people are like, oh, we know all this because we're Facebook friends. But they were having the same conversation of, oh, you've been here. Oh, yeah, I've been here. But they have not seen each other in
Yeah.
probably like 2 years.
Yeah.
But that was the initiative for like, Vine, or just connecting like one-on-one with other people, because I think it's important.
It is.
You know,
Absolutely.
And as you're saying,
It can
the
shock you
walks.
when you realize it too. When you realize it's been years since you've actually seen someone in person, or it's almost like it's just a thing we have to keep track of in the modern day, to make sure that you're not becoming a machine or something. You know, that's like, okay, the phone has now replaced
Yes.
my in-person relationships. It's now, it's like a complete separation
I
or
still
something.
enjoy phone calls. I don't
Hmm
know, like at least hearing some, and you know, like sometimes that phone call, like having a conversation versus text, is a little bit different.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Do you ever do anything like any practices like meditation or anything like that to try to train yourself to be present?
I need to do more of that.
Yeah, that's how I always
I have,
feel.
I
I
know.
always feel
I
like I
have
need to do more.
friends who do it. Um, and probably I will start at some point. I have a very active mind, so
Yeah.
running is what gets me.
Oh, that's
So to
a
me,
sort of
that's
meditation.
that's my
Yeah.
meditation. It's like
Yeah.
I will, do long distance, of 10, 15 miles, and just
Jeez.
that kind of quiets me out.
You've got that
You know.
Kenyan blood. You can just do 15 miles or something.
But yeah, no, that's my meditation route, right?
Yeah.
Like I'll just solo, just go.
Do you deal with injuries? Do you get
I
like a knee problem or
yeah, so I do a lot of like stretching. I think at
yeah.
this point, um, I've learned a lot about the body, and I've
Hmm
learned a lot about my body, and kind of listening to it, in terms of, okay, this is what I'm feeling, this is where it's stemming from. Um, Obviously, which to us as filmmakers, and tying this into what we do, um, chiropractor, deep tissue massages are kind
Ooh,
of important, right?
I could
Especially if
go
you're
for deep tissue.
putting on
You got a person?
cameras. I got a person here in
Okay,
Alameda, actually.
you gotta hook
I
me.
will hook you up.
Yeah.
They're pretty good. But I had my neck lock
Oh, you did?
once. Yeah. And that was from camera work,
Yeah.
right? And remember, before Easy Rigs, that's why you and I have worked together with Easy Rigs. Once they came out, I was like, this is good, right? Because you don't realize how much you tense your body when you're actually holding, and all this is
Yeah.
traveling, right? So
I got rid of
finished.
mine.
Oh, you did? You got some
Yeah.
fancy one now.
I have an ergo rig
I'll go rig.
and I haven't got that into using it yet. It's good. I mean, they're all good in different scenarios. I guess I was because I was mostly working on this documentary and I didn't want any of that stuff because I was working alone.
Yeah.
So I was like, do I really need this like $5,000 easy rig just sitting around,
Yeah.
or do I sell it to a friend who wants one?
Yep.
So I sold it to her.
Okay.
And the ergo rig is a little bit better for documentary work, but it turned out I just like not having anything and just being able to
You said you don't
do
like,
anything at any
You
moment.
said you don't like making it easy. You see,
That's right. Yeah, I don't.
Like,
Yeah,
I
I
need
don't.
this to be a challenge for me.
But I do a lot of placing the camera on things. That's how I've
that's
been
easier.
shooting. I
That's
find the coffee table, the table. I do handheld work, and then I do a lot of bracing it on stuff, and then it's just I mean, imagine if I was trying to blend in and hang, but I had this big easy rig on, and they didn't really want a film crew there. So do they really want a guy with a fishing pole off of his back there either?
That's true.
And then
It's the biggest thing everyone notices the minute you show up on set.
yeah.
But yeah, no, to me it was about how long do you want to do this
Right. You mean in life?
in life?
Yeah, yeah.
Because the injuries and all that, and I still get them. It's like after long days, because you're sitting cameras in positions where
I know.
it's like muscle. or
Even with
whatever.
the easy rig on, it hurts.
Oh, the easy rig, your lower back, because you're being
Yeah.
forced to use your legs, and
Yeah.
there's
And then
a
you're getting
whole
sweaty down there.
Like,
Like lower back is
lower
always
back
getting
is like
it.
all But I think listening to your body is important if you want to do this long enough. If
Funny
you value
story.
doing it.
I was shooting in Mexico City.
Okay.
So, when you travel to certain places, you got to be really careful about the water and about what you eat and stuff like that. Okay.
Correct.
I was doing that in Mexico City
Okay.
and not eating a lot of vegetables.
Okay.
So I was a little backed up.
Yeah.
And the easy rig, I got like so much stomach pain on set because I think I had like bowels full of just backed up
Yeah.
for like 2 days.
Yeah.
And then the easy rig, you wear tight down there.
Yeah. 'cause you
And
don't
I
want to
was
fall.
like feeling ill one day, and I had to I think they sent a PA out to go buy me some Metamucil or something. So I felt better after that. That took care of the problem. But yeah, that Easy Rig, man, it's
That's funny.
not the most comfortable. I mean, it's a lot more comfortable than having a 20-pound camera on your
Yeah.
shoulder all day, but it's also not the most
It's
comfortable
not the most
situation to be
comfortable.
in.
That's true. When you're holding
It's a
an
lot of
easy,
stuff.
putting a heavyweight camera on your shoulders. It's like, yeah.
But yeah, I think that even though their stuff's lighter, I think as sound people have it worse than we do.
Yeah, that's true. I love, and you know, like, I think that's the smallest they can get it. If Ari can get their color science into a smaller body,
I
that would be
love that.
amazing. Because
I
I love that
know.
camera, but
The 35.
once I finish building it out, the 35, once I finish building it out, I'm still stuck on a big camera.
I keep it really tight. It is still, it's still big though.
Because it would be nice just to be able to move around with
know.
it, But there
I
are the
know.
tools, there
If
are
they
the tools that can do
If they
it.
could come up with something, imagine if it was just something like the Komodo size, but it had a simple built-in sort of eyepiece,
Yeah,
and it had an ND in there. Ooh, I would love that.
that would be, yeah. No.
That'd be
NDs are a
fantastic.
lifesaver for dock work.
I know. I won't mess around with a camera that doesn't have them anymore. Even though I like things that are kind of old school, I just won't mess
Throws
around with
me
that.
off because if we use a camera that doesn't have it, I show up on set without it.
You mean without the ND filters?
Because I'm used to the camera having NDs.
Yeah.
I don't remember which
You mean
camera
if you shoot
it
on the
was.
red or something?
It was a red, and there's another camera that we just used. Oh yeah, this one.
The 3? Yeah.
It was an FX3 actually. I think we did something and we just showed up with these cameras and we assumed, not assumed, but in your mind you're used to having, like, we have sets of NDs,
Yeah.
but they're not the first thing that you pull unless we're doing like full cinema, right? If we're doing
Right.
Alexa 30, the 35, I'll always have probably a 0.3 in there or some, filtration.
Yeah.
So we'll carry the set. But if it's a smaller body, you assume it already has it and you just walk out.
Yeah.
You're like,
I know. That, yeah.
I don't have an ND.
Yeah.
But I've done the red without NDs, which was painful.
Yeah.
It was like you forget that you didn't carry an ND and you still have to expose because the client is there.
So early on, when I had the Mini, you know how sometimes those NDs would get stuck cycling?
Mm-hmm.
Did you ever have that?
I didn't have that problem.
Okay.
Thank God.
A lot of people did, and I had it. And I was in Tanzania, like out, like, I can't remember exactly where, but, it's out in the bush. I don't know what you'd call it in Tanzania, but, out, not in the city.
Okay.
And that happened, and I couldn't.
It got stuck halfway and you
It
can
was
see
cycling, and then anytime I would try to get the NDs to go in, it would cycle. And I was so I had two problems when I was out there. We were sleeping in tents.
Okay.
We weren't in like it was like we didn't have access to like Wi-Fi, phones, stuff like that. So I had that happen. So I had to, it didn't happen every day, but it was like one day we woke up early morning in the dark to do golden hour stuff, and then the sun's coming up and I can't get the NDs to go, and then I have to shoot at like T22 or something to deal with the sun, and it was like annoying and embarrassing because you're like, we're using my stuff and it's not working right, and this is an Aries, so it shouldn't be.
It shouldn't be.
It should be working.
They're like, it'll be user error now.
Yeah, they ended up replacing the entire ND module because I had it happen. I sent it in. They did something. It happened again when I got it back, and then they ended up replacing the entire
module.
Module, which I think even includes the sensors like built in or something to that. So it was just like a whole new inside to that. And then the other thing I had was my small HD monitor. You know how this is so annoying to me with small HD monitors and other things that try to be the most important thing in the world or whatever. I love my small HD monitor, but they now have you like set up an account and then you unlock it with this code. You have to
when
use
you get
a code.
There's a code. Yeah.
So something
It's so unnecessary
happened.
for a monitor.
That's what I think. If
Very
you want to do it with a
unnecessary.
camera,
It's
okay. So when I was there in Tanzania, it somehow deregistered itself. So I needed to go through and put my code in. and I was in the middle of nowhere, like no Wi-Fi access, so I couldn't and time zone was opposite anyway, so I probably could find a way. I could find the phone
But
number for
is
them and
that the
call
value
them.
of doing, like, it's a monitor. It's supposed to plug
Right.
in and work. Like,
So
that's
I
all I got
ended
it for.
up getting that. It ended up working out okay, but it was panic. It was like when we were setting up when we were there for the next day's shoot. And then somehow I got in touch with them and they gave me some universal code that worked and didn't have to be mine. You could just plug it in and it would work. And it got me back working. But what a nightmare. I was like, this is a hurdle that doesn't need to be here
It does
for
not.
this equipment. This is a monitor.
We usually click skip on a 5-inch because I'm like,
Yeah.
I didn't. There,
Well, I wasn't able to do that at the time. I think they allow you to skip now, maybe because
but
of
there are
the
things
problem I
that
had.
I feel like
and
out
other
the
people.
gate should just be working. Like,
I agree.
we cannot build everything relying on internet or, like, we're
Right.
shooting these things in
Right.
remote places. There's a fancy of, I'm in a studio, I can network everything, but that's not the banking idea for everything that
Like
we're trying to
with
do.
Premiere, they want you to be signed in sometimes. Like I'm on an airplane, and I guess you could connect to their
collect
Wi-Fi or
before-
something, but they want you to put in your Creative
like-
Cloud account, and
Yeah.
you're like, no, just I own the thing. Just be a program on
Not
my
right
computer
now.
that
It's
turns
like,
on.
I need to prepare to go do this.
Yeah,
But I
it's
downloaded this whole.
very frustrating.
It's an interesting world. Any I know you started with a piece of advice, which is amazing. Any advice you have for filmmakers getting into this?
Well, I mentioned the kind of soft skills
Yes,
things.
that was very important.
One other thing I like to tell younger people is that I think I've heard this in other places too, but you're going to be working so much
Okay.
in your life
Okay.
that you have to pick something that you're going to like.
True.
So I think it's a mistake to go into it thinking of it like this is something I'm picking up for a couple of years and I'm going to try to make a bunch of money doing this one or do whatever is making you think a certain thing about a different role.
Yeah.
If you don't like that role, you're signing up for a life of kind of, I don't know, kicking yourself or just not enjoying a big portion of your life. So it's a little bit cliche, but I would
True.
say that is a really good. A lot of cliches exist because they're true and
That's true.
they
That is
are
true.
said over and over again.
Yeah.
But that's one. I would say definitely pick something that you want to do,
Mm-hmm.
and also kind of the flip side of that is that because work is so long, you don't have to stay locked into something for, let's just say your career is 45 years long, whatever.
Okay.
Let's just say you work from 20 to 65.
Okay.
There's potentially a few careers in there.
True.
You
Met
can do
people
more
who've
than
done,
one
like,
thing.
4 careers. Like,
Yeah.
Swapped.
Yeah. You could do something completely different. I sometimes wonder if I'll be a professor for the last 10 years of my career. Like
It sounds like you will.
something like that would be fun. I'd love to
Hang around a lot of professors.
Yeah, I'm
to-
comfortable in that sort of environment, and I also like I like people who are eager to learn,
Oh yeah.
and I like there's something that I miss about a little bit of routine that I have right now in my life, but when I was working more like commercially all the time, it was just like something different every day, which is part of why I do this, because I do like that. I would never go. I'm not someone who would ever want to work an office job.
Mm-hmm.
I don't want to have a boss, and I don't want to do the daily grind Monday through Friday. But I do imagine, especially if this kind of phase 2 of my career leads to any sort of, I don't even know how to put that, because there's a lot of different ways that you can think of success. But if I get a little bit of a name, I think it's hard to become a film professor unless you've made certain things that people have seen,
You're
right?
about to make one. I'm
Yeah,
sure the
I hope that
documentary
that
that's
turns
about to
into
come
something
out.
that gets seen, and
Yeah.
then I think that being a professor is a possibility. I don't really necessarily want to go and be like, oh, I made a bunch of commercials and now I'm a professor. That's not really what I imagine. But
Yeah.
let's just say I'd make this film and then a couple other films,
Yeah.
and then maybe when I'm like 55 or something, maybe I could like teach at Berkeley a couple days a week or something. That sounds fun.
Oh,
So
great.
that's something I could see being kind of the last phase of my career or something
Yeah.
like that. Or if I did hurt my back bad, but it's gotten a lot better. So I'm able to keep working as a DP and stuff.
Yeah.
And I direct too, but for the most part, my bread and butter is DPing.
Yeah.
If I weren't able to do that, I would have transitioned to directing or editing.
Yeah. It's true.
There are ways that you can pivot. So, pick what you want to do,
Okay.
pick what you love, but at the same time, either if you don't love it or if your body can't do it anymore or if you're just burnt out,
Yeah.
you can switch, like just do something else, you know? Um, yeah, I think that, your career is a really long one. So,
That's true. Yeah, you meet people who've done it and switched careers like 4 or 5 times.
yeah.
But, it's when you feel like it's not inspiring joy anymore. It's like find something that would, keep pushing you to the next one.
Right. And doesn't it feel like this could either be a religious approach or who knows what, but it feels like things are just presented to you when you go for it in a certain way.
That's true.
I feel like when you put yourself out there and you take the chance and you're ready to receive it, it's there somehow. Not
That's
in
a
exactly
very
the
good
way that you
point.
want. It's not like
Yeah.
if you just think positively, you'll get exactly what you thought. But if you are playing it safe for 45 years, you're going to have that job for 45 years. But if you
True.
shake it up and you're like, what I really want to do is this,
Yes.
you will at least either it will be given to you like divinely,
Yes.
or you will finally become aware of these opportunities that are always around you
Yes.
that you can capitalize on
True.
in a different way. There's different ways that could be true, whatever.
That's an amazing approach to it. Yeah, no, I think I'm excited about this. Like just, sitting down, we always have these conversations over coffee, but sitting down
Yeah.
and kind of breaking this down, I think it's pretty good. And we owe each other another Ethiopian restaurant.
We do. I
Very busy.
know. I know.
Hey, I found a new one. I think we have another one that we'll go to. I think that's the one we're supposed to
We
hit
could
up the
explore
next time to explore.
Yeah.
But any other thoughts that you have? Any, you've been through this whole journey, and you've done music, you've done everything.
That's
Done
right.
all this.
I didn't even know
Yeah.
I didn't remember that I told you that. Yeah, I was in a band in my 20s. That was actually I loved it, and that was actually probably informed my life in some ways. That just kind of doing it.
Yeah.
It was like a punk rock band, basically. It was very just do it yourself, and I've always respected that mentality, the do it yourself, and it's a little bit of in an FU way. It's kind of like there's an industry like film that it's like it's all about gatekeeping and it's all about having a lot of money.
Yeah.
And then I like that people like us can step in
Yeah.
and say, F you, I'm going to do it anyway.
I'm still gonna exist in this.
Yeah,
That's
we
true.
can do it. There's something this is another MMA guy, but Ilya Taporia, he's kind of like the new hot thing. You know about him?
Mm-hmm.
Spanish, he's like Georgian Spanish guy who's like the new champion. And I was watching, there's something he was saying. His attitude was always, if other people can do it, then I can do it.
True.
And if other people haven't done it yet, I can be the first one to do it.
That's true.
It's just positive no matter what. And I think that gets you along. I mean, obviously, certain things can be impossible if you're thinking about it realistically. Like, I'm not going to be able to just think, hey, I can jump off a building and fly. But you know, you could think
At some
that to the
point.
degree where you're like, I'm going to make the first squirrel thing that, you know, those things.
Exactly.
Whatever it is, it's like there is a path to it being achievable there's a version of it that's
achievable.
possible.
Yeah, no, look at the running, just going back to the Kenya with
The
Eliud
4-minute.
Kipchoge. You know, he did it, and she just did it on the women's side.
Wait, was that like last week? Yeah, because wasn't it, they were talking about it like the week before.
Exactly.
That's interesting.
She beat her own time. So it's possible. I think, you know, that attitude of like, yeah, it's not been done. I can be able to do it.
Yeah.
You know, obviously it takes a lot of push and a lot of drive, but I think it takes a lot of the mindset and also the willingness to actually try something. Just because nobody went through that door doesn't mean that you can't. You know?
Yeah.
So don't live with limitations.
Yeah. I often think of that analogy, the 4-minute mile thing. Yeah. Once that door's open, oh, it's possible.
It's possible. And look at how many people started going through it.
Yeah.
But they always thought, oh, this is the cap. This is the cap.
Right.
Until someone else does it. You're like, wait, there was no cap there.
Right.
You know? And I think, is it roaches? There's a test about, I think it's roaches. They put them and they're able to jump. I don't know if it's that or... And depending on
that's
how
ringing
high
a bell.
the ceiling cap of how high they can jump, they stop jumping anymore because they see this.
Right. I do remember some study with that.
Even though they actually increase it, they won't still go that high.
Or
now
mice or something.
Mice, I'm trying to remember the saying, but it's interesting when you think about the limitations. But until if someone else does it, everyone else will. But that someone else can be you.
Right.
You know, can be any of us.
Right.
But I appreciate your time.
Thanks.
And
I appreciate you having me on here.
We'll do it again.
It's always a pleasure.
Once that documentary is done, it sounds like you're very close.
Well, we'll see. I don't know how close I am. Maybe kind of close. Maybe a couple more months, maybe 6 more months. I would
love to have you on, and at least we can talk about it
that would be great.
Bit more. But I'm going to close it out. All right. Noah, thank you so much.
Thank you
for joining me on this one. And there's a lot of good nuggets in here, I think, for filmmaking and also just our journeys and how...
Yeah, I have no idea if this is what you expected or what's similar to what
this is everything that was expected.
Okay, great.
You know, and there's more. There's a lot of stories in there that I would love to explore, but I know time, and we've spent a lot of time here. We'd have like 5 episodes in this.
Yeah.
Thanks for watching. Thanks, Noah, for joining us. And check out the episode.